for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Mellow Football Friday here on this August 22nd. A great Friday morning to you. I don't know if it's crispy football weather just yet, but definitely better than what we've had here in the month of August. I am Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, and we've got a loaded one for you here to close out the week. I don't know if we're right there yet for college football, but don't tell that to the degenerates out there. Iowa State, Kansas State over in Dublin coming up tomorrow, week 0. Colts, Bengals, 1 o'clock down I-74. It'll be Riley Leonard for a half, Jason Bean for the other half. No Anthony Richardson. We'll get to that here in a bit. But honestly, I think most important, guys, it's like the opening. It is the opening night for high school football. And that, to me, is the true definition of Football Friday. I think for so much of our listening audience, they are associated in some way, shape, or form with high school football, playing, coaching, watching. They've got kids that, are in the student section, cheerleaders, band, et cetera, et cetera. So, boys, a good Football Friday to both of you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm going to try to go to a game tonight. I haven't decided which one just yet, but whatever game I go to, I guarantee you the first time I see a parent stand up with the iPad trying to film, or the parent yelling at the referee, or the parent yelling at their own kid, I'll be thinking, yes, this is glorious. This is what I missed, because that always makes me laugh. My parents were pretty calm when I played high school sports, but seeing the parents that are a little more vibrant are always a treat.
Well, that's a very politically correct way to say that. Vibrant is a nice way.
Well, I'm not saying I want to be the official getting yelled at. I will say that. It can go a little overboard sometimes. But no, I enjoy it. And I think, this is oftentimes, if you're an athlete, the last time you get a chance to really go out there and play. So it is kind of cool. And I do miss that aspect of kind of covering sports where, it's everything's on the line. Your future's only tomorrow type of thing. And I always get a lot of kick out of that.
Should be an awesome night weather-wise. Mark Dykton, good Friday morning to you.
Thank you. Yeah, Football Friday for sure, because I got home yesterday from running some errands, and I saw the Brownsburg High School, I think it was the JV team or something out there actually playing a game, or if it was a scrimmage, but packed stands, had the PA going, music playing, Pink Pony Club was booming in the neighborhood.
What more do you need?
Yeah. I was like, yes, we're back, baby.
Defending 6A state champs, correct? The Brownsburg Bulldogs. So some great games tonight. Ben Davis Cathedral over at the Butler Bowl. Center Grove Warren speaks for itself. LNLC, our game of the week, and we'll have you covered here on this Friday morning. Fever back in action also as well. Honestly, one of their longer breaks of the entire year here this week. It'll be the Minnesota Lynx, who played last night and lost, a very rare loss for them. They lost last night in Atlanta, so some good scheduling fortune for the Fever. We'll see about Nafisa Collier, who is the favorite for MVP. She has not played in 3 weeks. They had her listed as questionable last night, but still held her out. So is this one of those where maybe she's a step closer tonight? So the Fever will take on the Lynx here inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse, and then Sunday as well. They got a West Coast trip coming up next week. Fever a 6.5-point underdog. James, I know you're not degenerate-y like Mark and I, but 6.5 points, does that say to you Nafisa Collier's playing? That seems like a big spread if she's not playing.
I think it's because
on the road, back-to-back?
I know, but I think it's because the Fever have lost so many players.
Yeah.
I mean, are we banking on Kelsey Mitchell scoring 35 again? And maybe that's part of it.
Hell, it seems like she can do it falling out of bed.
That is true. She's one of the best bucket getters on earth, as I always say. But perhaps that does mean she's coming back, and if she is, that would honestly help her MVP case. I think it's her and Asia Wilson and probably Kelsey in that conversation too.
Riley Leonard for the first half, Jason Bean for the second half tomorrow. We will play Shane Steichen's comments on why no Anthony Richardson here in the preseason finale. One thing to note, James, about tomorrow, the Colts are playing a lot of guys that I don't think will be on this team come Tuesday at 4 o'clock. That's when you cut the rosters from 90 to 53. And, some teams opt for a variety of things. I think Cincinnati is going with that plan as well. I did see, the Dolphins, I think, are playing their starters. The Browns may be playing their starters as well. One player of note that is playing tomorrow that falls into maybe the injury-riddled career so far, former high draft pick, Shane Steichen did say Juju Brent is going to play tomorrow. Do you look at that as, oh boy, anybody that plays tomorrow is in roster jeopardy? Or do you look at that as Juju Brent is the Anthony Richardson of the defense and he just purely needs reps?
I just think he needs the reps at this point. He hasn't played a lot of football, at least in games overall, over the last couple of years, and obviously did not get the same sort of runway as other players going into his, third season? Same year as Anthony, the same draft class, I believe.
Yes,
so
second round.
Yeah, to me, that's a little bit tough for him to kind of just throw him back into the fire, having not really practiced or played. And if he is feeling good, he is feeling healthy, then why not put him out there for at least a couple series or a couple plays to just get that football feeling back? I did catch up with Jalen Jones as well in the locker room. I do not get the sense that he's going to play Saturday against the Bengals. However, he was telling me that he's doing everything in his power to be available for week one, and he expects to be available for week one. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, I can kind of preface that by saying players are always going to say they're going to be healthier, faster than most others will, but he was just saying that is his goal, and he feels much, much better. Say he had a hamstring injury in college that kind of helped guide him through this one, which is a lot of just rest and recovery.
He definitely was ramping it up from a running standpoint on that side field. Yesterday we were out there for the Colts' final practice here before their last preseason game coming up on Saturday. So we'll definitely give you a little preview of what is going to happen down there in Cincinnati. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts at 9, the ever-busy Greg Rakestraw. Do you think last night was Christmas Eve for Greg Rakestraw?
I think every day
stocking, you mean?
I mean, literally.
I was going to say, I think every day of the high school football season is Christmas.
But when I think of Rake, I just think of it is high school football, baby. They should honestly have Rake run through one of those cheerleader-made signs at whatever game he's at tonight.
I'm going to sign him and Kyle Neddenrip up.
Dominic Miranda is going to join us coming up at 7:30. Great dude, WTHR, for those unfamiliar with Dominic's work. And he is live at Martinsville High School this morning. And, he does this, each and every Friday, going to, one high school around the city and, picture it. Student section, cheerleaders, band, everybody's on the field. James, he put out a little video last night from last year's tours that he did. And it like almost a highlight reel of his Friday mornings from last year. And what I want to ask him about when he joins us here at 7:30, honestly, the most amazing feat that I witnessed in that whole video, that man properly executed one of those band flags. He twirled it, threw it in the air, and caught it seamlessly.
He's an athlete. Are you surprised?
Of all the things,
I can't do that.
All of a sudden they pull you out of the crowd and they're like, hey, can you go catch a punt? I'd rather catch a punt, I think, than someone hand me the band flag and say, Kevin Bowen, twirl this 6 times, throw it in the air, and catch it seamlessly and move to the back row where you belong. There's no chance I could do that.
So how many takes do you think it took?
Boy, now you're casting doubt on our buddy there. Boy,
I don't know though, because he doesn't do a lot
of credit. I thought it was a one take.
I was gonna say he has to do a lot of live TV, so I'm sure.
I thought it was one take, but now you have me skeptical.
You know what? We'll have a chance to ask him in about 22 minutes here when he joins us.
Gosh, I would just stab myself right in the nose with that thing. All that. Someone go get Bowen. He's got a bloody nose.
Kevin would definitely be the guy running the trainer around. Who's got an ice pack? Where's the trainer?
I tweaked something.
Yeah, you were that kid.
Stretch me
actually,
out.
probably weren't. You weren't that kid, Kevin. Please don't tell me that.
Gosh, you guys just taking shots at me for zero reason whatsoever. I've had a few reach out about the porta potty thing, backing me on this, so it's been good to see that build up.
I did back you on that. I told you.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, no, I'm not leaving my glasses behind. Y'all are liars.
Did Kurt Cignetti get the last laugh with this old SEC scheduling? Did you see this yesterday?
I did see some of this. You feel free to elaborate, Kevin, but I felt like it's still hard to kind of make your case. I feel like it's like the Spider-Man meme. You're both pointing at each other.
I thought he got the last laugh until I read the fine details. So,
okay, break it down.
To refresh everybody on this, and maybe we should expand on it a little bit more in a longer segment, but basically IU, before Cignetti, to be honest with you, so maybe we should call it the Scott Dolson rule, they decided to adopt the model of, hey, if we're going to play the 9 conference games, then we're just going to go cupcakes galore in the non-conference. The SEC has played 8 conference games and then required their teams to play a marquee non-conference game. So, the Big Ten, Cignetti's counter says, well, that's pretty much what we're doing. We're pretty much playing 9, power 4 games, if you want to call it that. So the SEC announces yesterday they're going to 9 conference games like the Big Ten. So I think everybody jumped to the, hey, look at that. Kurt Cignetti bullying the SEC's bowing down to Kurt Cignetti. But in the fine print, the SEC, which I respect, and I have not said SEC in respect many times in my life.
Nah, you know what? I think you're a hater, but go ahead.
The SEC is requiring their teams to play a non-conference game against either an ACC, Big 12, Big 10, or Notre Dame. And I love that. I love
Says the Notre
marquee non-conference games. Is there a bigger dud in all of sports than the start of the college basketball season? The start of the college basketball season has nothing on it from a marquee standpoint.
When I was an AP stringer for covering Illinois men's basketball for the Associated Press, Lord, those first few games, I'm just thinking, who am I even writing for? Who's going to read this?
You're watching like Athletes in Action and Marathon Oil and a bunch of these random teams.
I hope these checks clear.
That you're playing. I mean, that's it. And then you finally get to something like around Thanksgiving. Yeah. That's kind of when they do their marquee thing. Whereas college football, what do we have next week, guys? Texas, Ohio State.
I was going to say, we have like a game that could
Notre
decide
Dame,
the college
Miami.
football playoff standings.
LSU, Clemson. So I love it. This is where I think all the conferences should now look at what the SEC's doing and saying, this is what we need to require of our teams to have the power non-conference game in there with the 9 conference games. I think it creates great entertainment. I think it helps you kind of capitalize before the NFL gets going as well. So I thought that was interesting yesterday, that announcement from the Southeastern Conference. Plenty to get to here on this Friday morning. Thank you for spending it with us. It is a football Friday. Jeff will be back early next week. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton right here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Lockdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, to drive down I-74 for the Colts coming up today, and tomorrow will be the kick, 1 o'clock right here on these airwaves. You'll hear Matt Taylor, Charles Arbuckle, Colts and Bengals preseason finale on TV. It'll be Greg Rakestraw, who will join us at 8 o'clock. Joe Wrights and Lara Overton having your coverage there. James Boyd, anything you care about tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Colts and Bengals?
Riley Leonard, of course, the beardless Riley Leonard, I might add. He looks a little bit younger than he was a couple of days ago when he was growing the beard. I thought he was going grown man for us in the NFL. He told me, no, I didn't really like it like that. But yeah, I'm curious to see what he does just because, I really haven't paid much attention to him myself because so much of the conversation has been about the other two quarterbacks and, it's his first, I guess, start since the national championship. So get out there and have some fun.
And again, he is your third quarterback. I don't think there's any debate about that. Jason Bean will then take the reps in the second half. Again, Juju Brent is going to play. Outside of that, don't think a whole lot of notable names you'll see out there for the preseason finale for the Colts. Roster cuts coming on Tuesday, 90-53. Indiana Fever back in action tonight inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They'll play certainly one of the best teams in all of the league. That is the Minnesota Lynx. We'll see about Nafisa Collier, arguably the best player in the WNBA. She has missed the last 3 weeks or so. She did not play last night. The Lynx lost last night in Atlanta. We'll see about her availability. They listed her as questionable, but still held her out. The Lynx are favored by 6.5. This is a 7:30 tip on Ion. Did want to play the Stephanie White audio on Caitlin Clark. She was on with Jake yesterday. It usually appears 2 o'clock, but this week on a Thursday, and Jake asked her if there's any concern with 2 weeks and change left in the regular season, if Caitlin Clark will play here in this season.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's, it's tough to speculate right now because she is doing everything that she can to position herself to play. So I don't know about that. The goal is to get her back, and the goal is for her to be on the floor.
James, your level of concern? Caitlin Clark playing again here this season? Playing maybe in this regular season?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely got to be growing, right? I just don't understand, or I understand why she's being held out, but I don't understand how there could be a clear path forward just considering how much time she's missed, how much time is left in the season, how little time is left in the season, and the overall stakes because she's such an important player to this franchise. It might be one of those years where you have to look back on it, hopefully, years and years and years from now and say, well, that was just the one-loss season.
Again, tonight, it's a Lynx Sunday. Also, Minnesota, they have a long trip out west coming up this time next week. Quiet day around the diamond. No, not quiet for the Indianapolis Indians. They put up 16 runs on Syracuse there. Mark Dykton, valiant effort by your Cubs, but the Brewers did clip them yesterday.
Took 3 of 5 in the series, won the season series, but still 7 games back, so still need some help. I don't think they're playing they don't play the Brewers the rest of the year, so they're going to need some help if they're going to try to get the division. Looks like wild card more likely at this point.
Speaking of help, Reds got a little yesterday from the Mets, so they are a half game back as they continue their trip out west. Again, we've got week 0 in college football. Iowa State, Kansas State tomorrow from Dublin. That's actually a ranked matchup. Both of those teams, welcome to the Big 12. Like, who the hell is going to win that conference? So actually kind of a nice one there. To kick off college football, IndyCar Milwaukee coming up on Sunday. That'll be an oval race up there. Of course, we know Alex Palou has already clinched the season series, but they'll go Milwaukee, Nashville here to round out the season. And James Boyd, you said you are currently debating where to go tonight for high school football Friday, week 1. Do we have any games that we are pondering?
Yeah, so I threw that question out to the Twitter sphere, and last night they told me Center Grove and Warren is always good.
Woo! That
Ben
sounds
Davis
juicy.
Cathedral.
Let's go. That's at the Butler Bowl, right?
Yeah, Lawrence North, Lawrence Central, obviously classic rivalry there. I had a couple people who know I have a region background. They're like, hey, come on up to, the region 219 for Melville and Andran, Battle of Broadway, which I used to cover, but I'm like, I can't make that type of trip today.
Wait, Battle of Broadway?
That's what they call it because it's the street right there. Yeah, Andran High School and Maryville High School are literally like, I don't know, 3 minutes apart in a car. You can walk from one to the other. So I'll try to find my way to at least one game tonight just because, again, I enjoy it. And really, I think one of the best things that I like to do to kind of unwind, which is so crazy because I'm a sports guy, is to go to high school games and not work. And I get to leave with everybody else, ride with everybody else, and it's just so awesome. Especially, and I'll see like Kyle Neddenrip. I saw him after a crazy playoff basketball game last year for boys high school, and I remember thinking, wow, what a great game. That was crazy, like double overtime. All right, Kyle, looking forward to reading your story in the Indy Star tomorrow because I get to leave. So, it's a fun nice way for me to just kind of clock out a bit.
Yeah, Decatur at Avon, Addicts at Lutheran, Ritter at Tech, couple other games, Lebanon at Pendleton, Pike at Zionsville. What a great night, honestly, weather-wise here for Week 1 Operation Football. We'll
have Evan Sherrill weighing in. He told me I need to go to LNLC and I have to cheer for the Wildcats.
Ooh,
like,
LN, a great.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I need to cheer
year.
for them. They've got a lot going for themselves already.
I was gonna say they got one of the more highly ranked recruits in the entire nation coming up. Only a junior, I believe, in Monchon Sales, the wideouts. All right, to have your coverage the rest of today, Dominic Miranda going to join us coming up on the other side to talk a little bit about this and maybe a little Notre Dame quarterback battle I can throw his way. 8 o'clock, Greg Rakestraw. 9 o'clock, Matt Taylor. Why isn't Anthony Richardson playing in tomorrow's preseason finale? We'll play Shane Steichen's comments, react to that, coming up probably around 7:45. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton with you, rounded out the week. It is a Football Friday right here on The Fan, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, coming up in about 15, why is Anthony Richardson not playing in the preseason finale coming up tomorrow against the Cincinnati Bengals? We will play the Shane Steichen audio and react to that. What is there to keep an eye out for in the preseason finale? We will hit on that. But let's head out to, I guess, just off Old State Road 37 right now. Operation Football Sunrise Kickoff. One of our favorites. I think, James Boyd, I probably speak for you in that. And that is Dominic Miranda from WTHR. I'm believing he probably shotgunned a Red Bull or two before he started his.
He did tell me the energy drinks will be in rotation starting very soon.
So, Dom, for our audience out there that maybe has not tuned in to what you do every Friday morning, you created a highlight video that you put out there last night as an explanation of this. Basically, you are on the field at these respective high schools. Like I said, Martinsville today. You've got the band, you've got the cheerleaders, you've got the student section, and you're full throttle. How are you creating this energy at this hour of the morning?
Complete psychopath love of football, especially in the state of Indiana. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm pumped up to be with you guys every single Friday morning talking some high school football because of the communities in central Indiana and around central Indiana in our DMA are awesome, and that is personified in what we're doing with Operation Football Sunrise Kickoff. So this is kind of taking the baton from Dave Calabro, him starting Operation Football 3 decades ago, and carrying that and making our niche the morning. You know, there's a lot of other places who do a lot of different things, and I think what makes Indianapolis special is the way high school sports are covered here by everybody. I mean, everybody does a great job. All the TV stations, newspapers, everyone does an awesome job making the high school stuff feel really, really big, and that's because it is, and it's really, really talented across the board. But we like to pick communities. What we did was we started picking communities where we knew they wanted us there and they wanted to showcase their school and showcase their school spirit. And what we do is we visit a different school for 9 weeks straight. And at the end of the year, we pick who brought the most energy, who brought the most students, who maybe bribed us the most. I mean, I did get some donuts this morning.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I got a cowboy hat. The gifts are not to be discounted. I'll put it that way. But
no. Spoken like a true media person.
Right. And then at the end of the year, we'll give them our Spirit Award. So last year, Martinsville won our 2024 Spirit Award. And so we start the following year at our defending champ. And then new this year, we're actually putting the ball in the fans' court saying, okay, we're going to narrow it down to 3 different schools and starting every, Friday and closing that Wednesday of the next week, the fans can vote on where they want next. So next week, for instance, it's between Lebanon, Plainfield, and Danville who will get Operation Football Sunrise Kickoff. So it's been awesome and successful, and the schools make it, right? Like Martinsville brought out 200 plus kids this morning. The cheerleaders, the band, the color guard, the student section. Then they had all the bells and whistles, really cool stuff. Fatheads. There was a sign that said Operation Football Dominates with the DOM capitalized and my headshot on there. You see, so it's stuff like that makes it really fun, and I just love doing it. So. I'm the energy you're hearing now, week 1. Ask me again, week 7, but we'll be all right. And
you're gonna need a nap about noon today if you're gonna survive until midnight tonight with all your coverage of week 1. Dominic Miranda from WTHR with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. I was joking with James earlier in the show. Honestly, when you sent out that video last night of kind of some of the highlights from last year, the most impressive thing out of that whole video was you twirling and catching the band flag. That was insane, man. There's no chance in hell you put me out on a football field right now, you hand me one of those band flags, and all of a sudden the director starts queuing up the fight song. That flag's stabbing me in the nose.
Right. Well, there's a lot of teaching that happened before the video was on, and if you notice, directly after, there was a fail also posted, okay? Because I got a little cocky. I said, oh, who's the master? And then, boom, right in the shoulder, out 4 to 6 weeks. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's stuff like that makes it really fun, and the stuff that you don't see on camera is man, I just love it. I love it every single year. High school football in this state, it's like no other, and I can't get enough. That's why I keep coming back. Because everyone's like, man, you're crazy for starting at 4:30 a.m. and ending at midnight, 12:30, and I'm like, it's one day a week, and I love it. It's the best.
So, Dominic, can you explain the voting again for those who might be curious? Where do you go and how do you officially cast a vote if you want to get more involved?
Okay, WTHR.com. Again, this is new this year. What we did was we used to choose schools, and it was pretty easy because schools would contact us or, be really excited about having us, or we would just know we would get a turnout when we came to specific schools. But there were so many of those schools that we were like, okay, well, we need to make this. Plus, it gets the fans involved, it gets the students involved, it gets shared on social media. But you can go to WTHR.com. So go to our website. And it's narrowed down to 3 schools weekly. The first one this week was we chose Martinsville because they were our defending Spirit Award champs. Now it's to a vote. So Danville, Plainfield, and Lebanon are our 3 this week. And you could go to WTHR.com to cast that vote.
And this is to vote to host Operation Football Sunrise.
And that is to vote to host Operation Football Sunrise kickoff, baby. I love it.
Dominic Miranda with us here live from Martinsville. Again, as he said right there, Operation Football Sunrise Kickoff from WTHR here every Friday morning throughout the football season. All right, you and I are standing there. I think it was Daniel Jones talking on Tuesday, fresh off of learning that he had won the quarterback competition here in Indianapolis. I am creepily trying to record Jones behind you, and your phone is also trying to do the same thing, and your phone's blowing up. You're getting texts like none other, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, something must be going on right now. Next thing you know, Jones gets done. You look at me and say, I don't even know if I can say the exact phrase on air, holy bleep, something along those lines. And we just found out that C.J. Carr is Notre Dame's quarterback, and both of us are stunned. This is not what we thought at all.
No, and it came on a day. I mean, what more could happen that day? Rick Carlisle gets a contract extension. Daniel Jones is named starting quarterback. Sophie Cunningham's out for the year, and CJ. I mean, as for work professionally, we're already busy. Okay, but then as a fan, you and I, arguably more important. I mean, I would say maybe CJ Carr being named starting quarterback of Notre Dame. And I think I just leaned to you and said CJ Carr, and you're like, no way, because I mean, you're right. We all we heard throughout training camp. First it was C.J. Carr dominates the spring, and it's going to be no question. And Notre Dame knows their starting quarterback. And for those who don't know, I grew up around South Bend, Napanee, Indiana. That's where I hail from, about 30 minutes south of South Bend. So I'm a diehard Notre Dame fan, unapologetic, as is Kevin, as is Andrew Chernoff of Wish TV. So we got a nice little trio there. But C.J. Carr has all the talent in the world. We're told he's the golden child, and all of a sudden Kenny Minchey is actually outperforming him during camp. I had actually talked myself into Kenny Minchey, Kevin. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and same. Trust me. I was looking up his high school highlight film to talk myself back into him.
I know. And then, boom, right as Daniel Jones is finishing up, I get an alert from Pete Thamel, C.J. Carr named starting quarterback, and I couldn't really focus the rest of the day. I don't know about you. I tried to do my best, but Notre Dame has a starting quarterback, and we're looking for a national championship. That's all we can say.
Gosh, I love Dominic Miranda so much.
I know. He's one of the best in the business. Dominic, I do, along the lines of the college football world, there are some great Central High School athletes here for football that can obviously play in college at the next level. But for now, for those who might be some of the more top prospects or highly recruited players in the area, what are some players you're looking at in our neck of the woods who you think can really put on a show this season at the high school level?
Well, I know Hamilton Southeastern's quarterback is going to Duke, and Hamilton Southeastern looking to capitalize on an okay season. They have a tough schedule this season, but what I think of when you say that is Decatur Central. All right, Casimir Hicks going to IU, wide receiver, and then Bo Polson, quarterback, going to Toledo. He's the quarterback. They are a senior-heavy team. I want to say they have 22 seniors, Decatur Central, all right? This is a Decatur Central team who 2 years ago finished runner-up in Class 5A state. Last year, won state in Class 5A. Now this year, bumped up to Class 6A. Head coach Kyle Enright telling me their motto this season is Mission Impossible, which I love. First year in 6A, people counting them out. And then that Michael Campbell is undecided right now. He's getting a ton of MAC interest. So they have college dudes galore. Warren Central, J.J. Finch going to Alabama. Warren Central, first-year head coach J.T. Whitaker. He was the offensive coordinator at Brownsburg a year ago, a state champion Brownsburg in Class 6A. So Warren Central always has college talent, guys who are going to be playing on Saturdays, no question about that, no matter the level too, right? Like Division I, Division II, NAIA. I mean, you have guys that are super talented going to Marion and St. Francis and places like that. Indy is perennially good in Division II. Like, there's so much hidden talent around here. It's truly awesome. But when you say college guys, and then you got Monson Sales, a junior, I believe, at Lawrence North that we got to keep an eye on too. And Lawrence North coming off one of their best seasons a year ago, first time winning the MIC, I believe, 11-1 there. So just so much talent, so many storylines. We had a chance to stop by 6 or 7 schools as part of our high school preview that's on WTHR Plus right now. Shameless plug. Our digital guys did a really good job with that. So I'd recommend watching that if you want to get your football fix ahead of the first Friday night. Very exciting. Very exciting.
So the last one for Dominic Miranda, who is joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline from WTHR. You can follow him on Twitter at DomMirandaTV. Dominic, when I went to my first high school practice as a reporter back in the day, they asked me if I was trying out for the team. So did you have any of those experiences throughout? Maybe not this year, a little bit older, but have you ever had that experience where you showed up as the young reporter and people were asking, are you supposed to be in school right now?
No, you look athletic at least. Maybe you can argue they asked you because you're athletic looking and maybe had a baby face back then. Me, all right, I got a beard.
Still does now.
I got a little hair on the face now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. You're looking good. I got a beard, okay, and I do not look athletic in the slightest. They're like, okay, what ridiculous publication do you work for, and why are you here? No, but I did have a funny experience. This wasn't high school, but just it sparked my memory when you asked this question. But I was in West Lafayette earlier this week talking to Barry Odom of Purdue.
Okay.
Did a little one-on-one with him, previewing, and he was asking me all about where I'm from. And he's like, hey, did you play football? And I was like, yeah, I played 3 years at DePauw, but torn ACL and 2 concussions later, hung it up. He's like, oh, so you still have eligibility? We have a meeting at 3:30. You want to get in here? I was like, man, they must be pretty hard up there if they're asking me. But anyway, no, nothing like that. But man, I just have to say, I'll say this ad nauseum: the hospitality of schools around Central Indiana, it's second to none. And the school spirit and the talent on the football field too. It's awesome. And so I'm jacked up to start football Friday nights here in Indy. And Operation Football, man, it's going to be better than ever at 11 o'clock too. So be sure to tune in, Channel 13.
Sunrise kickoff, Dominic Miranda down in Martinsville here on this Friday morning, as indeed we kick off high school football around the state. Your energy's through the roof. Cannot wait for a week from Sunday, Notre Dame and Miami down there in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
Dominic, as always, brother, thank you, and we look forward to these Friday combos.
Hey, me too. You guys are 2 of the best in the business. Looking forward to it, guys. Football's back, baby.
It is indeed Football Friday. Greg Rakestraw going to join us here in 20, and then at 9 o'clock, voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. Yeah, I'm glad he brought up Casimir Hicks. I know he is a player that I think a lot of people are intrigued by in that Kurt Signetti recruiting class going to Indiana coming up here next fall. So, again, we'll have your coverage, LNLC, for us here on The Fan in Week 1. James, let's get to Colts-Bengals coming up tomorrow, 1 o'clock again. It sounds like it'll be the 3s and the 4s. Riley Leonard for a half, Jason Bean for the second half. I did wonder on Tuesday when Shane Steichen announced that it would be Daniel Jones starting and Anthony Richardson as the backup here in the regular season. Would that lead to Anthony Richardson playing on Saturday in the preseason finale? Again, you only have 3 preseason games nowadays. Obviously, Anthony had to miss a good chunk of that first preseason game due to injury there. So that was a question I wanted to throw Shane Steichen's way yesterday. This was Shane's response on why no Anthony Richardson in tomorrow's preseason finale.
Well, I think, he's one play away, from going into an actual game, and don't want to take the risk there. In that situation, we got a lot of our 3s and 4s playing in this game. It's their last opportunity to go prove it, to make a 53-man roster, and that's where it's at.
James, your thoughts?
I do understand it from his perspective, but at the same time, I'm just thinking to myself, what are the real risks? Like, how much do you really value the, again, in-game reps versus keeping the guy on the sideline with a Surface Pro or an iPad or whatever they call it, and taking the mental reps, as I have already laid out that I hate. But I understand it, but I definitely think it probably wouldn't, and it probably hasn't gone over well with the fan base because they want to see the former number 5 pick get out there and play.
Yeah, I don't follow. I don't. Here's a guy that you say he's struggling with cadence.
So would you play him with? I guess my understanding is more so like, just to kind of clear it up a little bit. Mine is more so of like, if he's going to be out there with 3s and 4s, is it worth putting him out there with those players?
He played with 2s and 3s last week against Green Bay. He played with 2s and 3s against Baltimore.
That's a fair rebuttal.
And, your 3s are also Cincinnati's 3s. It's not like, if we're saying out there, well, we don't want him to play with dudes that stink, well, the other dudes stink on the other side of the ball.
Right.
So it's not like you're going against Cincinnati's 1s where they're feasting on you.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
So that's
I'm just laughing because I'm like, man, Kevin Bowen, when he gets blunt, he gets blunt.
Well, you know what I mean. I say stinking and
well, in NFL terms, yes, they would all crush us in football, but yes, I do understand.
Thank you for all that. You got problems with his cadence. You got problems with timing up motions. You've got problems with line of scrimmage stuff. To me, it would be very beneficial for him to see more of that in any sort of game setting.
Right.
And I'm not even getting to the new throwing base and wider, footwork and, in game settings, does that revert back to old habits there? So I basically what the Colts are saying by benching him is they have said he's not good enough. Okay. So now by holding him out, you are furthering the lack of development, and yet he's one play away from going into a regular season game. That is where I don't really agree, I guess, at all, just to put it very simply, with that sort of thought process. You are okay with him going into a regular season game one play away, right? That's what it sounds like.
Right.
He is the backup. But yet, you're not going to try and get him any better in this moment. You're afraid of the risk of injury with him. And to me, with Anthony, it's just all about getting clarity. And if he gets hurt again, now that is final clarity. Boom. Guy just can't stay healthy.
Right.
Period. And you just move on there. It's just head scratching to me, honestly.
Here's where I'll go. And we could definitely dive into this more throughout the show. But I have a piece out on The Athletic. The title of it is Anthony Richardson Must Own Failures, but Shane Steichen Colts Aren't Blameless Either. And I think when I was kind of pressing Shane on this stuff, and we'll have Mark pull the audio probably sometime throughout the rest of the show, where I had a chance to just straight up ask Shane, what things do you think you specifically could have done better to help him? You were supposed to be the QB guru, the guy who advocated for him to come to Indianapolis. And the answer he gave, if anybody else can understand what it actually meant, more power to you. It was just a bunch of words that I had to type out and put out there. But the point of it is, and I had to kind of remind myself of this. So last year, when Anthony was playing poorly, he tapped out of a game, they benched him. And they said, this is going to be for the rest of the season. And then they were awful. They were 500 when they benched him. They lost 2 games in a row. Joe Flacco was bad. The team was bad. And then they got desperate, and they punted on whatever plan they said they had about his development behind the scenes. He needs to sit. He needs to get better for their own self-preservation. They threw him back in there because they're like, you know what? Whether he is doing all the things behind the scenes or not, we need him to play because he's better than Joe Flacco. So they throw him back in the lineup. He plays, and granted, his first game back, he has the best game of his life, I would think, against the Jets. And it ends poorly that season. And then you restart again, and you say, well, you know what? Actually, after seeing some of that, you got to go back to the bench and get better. So my stance is that why should he trust you with his process? Because the process you've laid out has been lies. If you felt like the best thing for Anthony Richardson, bar none, was for him to sit and get better, why did you reinsert him into the game? Why did you reinsert him into the starting lineup last year when things were going bad? Because you got desperate, and you're desperate again. And I do feel like we might get to a point this season where if Daniel Jones isn't playing out, do you turn to him again and say, you know what, bail us out again? So that's where I can't get behind the plan or process. And I know Shane Steichen loves to use that word process. The process right now is a load of nothing. What can you explain? Why would anybody trust what you have to say? And again, I have more on this, and you can read the piece. I tried to be respectful, and I don't want to make it seem like, again, Anthony is blameless. He has to own, in my opinion, the majority of this. I just can't get behind the idea or the notion that, outside of Chris Ballard saying we shouldn't have started him, everyone else is saying, well, I did everything I could. Well, did you?
Yeah, like to me, earlier in the week when we discussed this, I call it an organizational failure, the Anthony Richardson whole process, the whole drafting of him, et cetera, et cetera. And part of that is
funny. I'll let you finish. The first line in my story, Kevin, I should have gave you joint credit, is this is what failure looks like.
Yeah.
I'll let you continue. Because
and again, to me, like, it's the organizational failure of yes, part of it is the evaluation of him as a player on and off the field at Florida. And again, part of the organizational failure includes him as well. Like, you would hope that a wake-up call would have occurred for him at some point. So, like, again, he is not blameless by any means, but you're focusing more on the plan. And I could not agree more. And, like, how they've handled it, the back-and-forth nature to it. I have found it odd. They've kept the same voices in his ear for 3 years. Steichen, Jim Bob Cooter, and his position coach, Cam Turner. Like, at no point did they think to themselves, you know what? Maybe we need to change it up. Maybe maybe his position coach is not getting to him. The Cam Turner background doesn't have a lot of grade on it from a quarterback standpoint. Kyler Murray, where he was in Arizona, needed a video game clause in his contract.
Come on, man.
So, that's where I was curious coming into this season. It was probably before you actually hopped on air with us in February. Part of my January curiosity, yes, so much was focused on the defensive coordinator. But I remember saying to Mark, certainly, and probably having this conversation with Andy of saying, hey, what are they going to do offensive staff-wise? Is there going to be any changes there on that side of the ball?
Right.
With, specifically, I probably meant Anthony, with the offense coordinator, with the QB coach. Do you bring in someone that's a little different or has a little bit of a different background to try and kind of save the operation? But I guess just one more note on Saturday for me, James. I think what's really bothersome and confusing to me is here is an opportunity to get him actual game reps when you've told us he is not ready. And yet, you're not going to put him in that setting for fear of injury. So you'd rather him still be an inconsistent player when he gets in the game. I mean, that's pretty much what you're saying by withholding him from game action. And again, it's not like he is necessarily out there needing to have precise timing with Coleman Owen or Landon Parker or, Sean McEwen at tight end, some of these guys that you're going to see out on the field tomorrow. It's more of a, hey, when Cincinnati comes out in this defensive front, how do you react to that? Or when they show this pressure that Baltimore showed, how do you react to that? It's timing up guys in motion. Those sorts of things are saying, or he needs some growth. Greg Raystar going to join us here coming up in a few. And again, voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor, at 9 o'clock. Ulysses S. Bentley the fourth. I mentioned the name Coleman Owen. You got a random Colt that you're curious to watch tomorrow that could maybe wiggle his way onto the 53. Bentley at running back. I know Jake's done his wonderful accent in referencing his name, but if the running back injuries are there, like Tyler Goodson, for example, with an elbow injury, he's one to watch. Number 37 for Bentley. Number 3 is Owen, a little wide out. He's been out. He's caught everything, literally everything. He caught a ball yesterday. Reggie Wayne looked beyond thrilled, seriously, on the practice field when that happened. He's probably more of a practice squad guy, but any random dude, number 84 on the roster that you think fans should keep an eye on?
I won't say random, but Daniel Scott. I know he was a draft pick from a few years ago.
Yeah, can you kind of explain his story for fans?
Yeah, so Daniel Scott, I believe, was a 5th-round pick, I want to say.
Out of Cal, right?
Yeah, out of Cal. Ironically enough, he actually played with Cam Bynum in college.
Yeah, he was an older draft pick. I remember that.
Yeah, I think he was like a 6-year college guy. But, yeah, he was a 5th-round pick from 2023. And he's had back-to-back season-ending injuries. I believe the first time around it might have been an ACL. The second time it was an Achilles or vice versa. But either way, 2 back-to-back devastating injuries. He's now healthy again. He's been playing, obviously trying to make the team. And I think because of the injury to Hunter Wohler, I'm thinking, is there a chance for him to make the roster as like a, backup reserve safety? In a way, how good of a story would that be for someone who has been fighting for this NFL opportunity? And obviously his body has kind of, in a way, betrayed him at times. And so I'm excited for him to get out there and potentially make the team.
Yeah, again, right now it's safety. That is a depth spot that I'm curious about from a waiver claim standpoint coming up on Tuesday. Nick Cross has missed some time here. He's obviously a starter. Cam Bynum, of course, is the other starter. Unfortunately, Hunter Wohler suffered that Liz Frank injury against Green Bay, and he is out for the season. So that's one of those positions that I think when you get to Tuesday with waiver claims that could be happening. Are the Bears playing their starters, Mark? Probably not, right?
I've not heard anything yet, but they're playing the Chiefs, I think, on Saturday. But, yeah, I've not heard anything about that. I wouldn't mind if they played a little bit, but I have not heard what Ben Johnson's plan is yet.
Is Tyson Bagent, is he the backup to Caleb Williams?
Yep.
That
I
was
like
the
him a lot.
Stories.
That was a really cool video, watching his emotion and signing the extension. Undrafted, right?
Yeah, from a very small town.
And he really impressed here in that preseason game.
Yes.
I remember that was kind of the first signs of like, oh, wow, maybe the Bears have found something here. But for those that missed it, super emotional. Was it earlier this week?
Yeah,
talking about
got
his
a
contract extension?
two-year, $10 million extension, and he started crying on the podium because he said, my dad grew up without running water till he was in high school. He's from a small town in West Virginia called Martinsburg. So obviously he's like, I can use all this money for good, not just for me, but for other people, help others in need. He's a good dude. I like Tyson Bagent a lot. He's one of those guys that you're rooting for, and I'm happy he's a Bear, but I will not be surprised when that contract comes up if other teams come calling, because he's a dude that just puts his nose in the playbook. He seems to understand it pretty well, and he just seems like an all-around good dude.
Yeah, as someone who hates Chicago sports, I actually did have to watch that a couple times. So I thought that was pretty good.
Along those lines, I always feel like when those types of stories pop up, especially around like the Super Bowl or like a big national championship game, and I don't have like a rooting interest, I'm rooting for everybody because I know this guy's been through this and this guy's been through that. And that woman's beat this, illness or whatever. And so everyone's got a story. It kind of reminds you of that. And it was cool to see that emotion come out of him and just the gratitude and just a reminder overall that, for the top players that we talk about often, they made a lot of money, and it might not saying that they don't take it for granted, but it might not for us be at the forefront of our minds all the time. But that kind of reminds you of like, oh, wow, this guy just changed his life because of a kid's game, which is really cool.
I'm guessing last night was Christmas Eve for our next guest. He is the one, the only Greg Rakestraw. Football Friday alive and well. High school scene tonight. He's on the call of Colts Bengals coming up tomorrow. Greg Rakestraw on the other side.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark Dykton, excellent here. Do you think this was his alarm this morning? Actually, there's no way he even alarms it up.
No.
It's body clock, baby.
Mm-hmm.
The Selleck Bowl last night for our next guest. Tonight, it will be the Battle of Lawrence. I know the winner gets, free Giacomo's off of the 56th Street Fort Bend pizza joint. I'm making that up, but I think that should be up for grabs tonight. We called it Christmas Eve for him last night. He is Greg Rakestraw. Week 1 of the high school football season is here. Rake, good Friday morning to you, sir. You've made it to another one.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And last Friday night, I think, was my last Friday night off until the next time that song is in vogue, until December the 26th.
Unbelievable. I love it. All right, let's set up your 3-day stretch. Butler women, Butler men last night on the pitch. Tonight, LNLC, and then tomorrow, I-74 and Colts Bengals, correct?
And then sandwich that with Indy 11 Wednesday night and then more Butler soccer Sunday night. So thank you to all the weather forecasters out there for giving me 5 glorious nights for outdoor sporting events. Don't have to worry about rain delays nor sweating through a suit. The only best chance for that to happen, of course, will be tomorrow afternoon.
So, Rick, I do have to ask, and I'm honestly shocked that I haven't asked this before, but do you do things to keep your voice fresh? Because it sounds so smooth when you talk to us every time I hear you. But I'm like, man, that's a lot of work.
Well, there's the old line from the Blues Brothers, talent on gift from God. That helps. I try not to yell, frankly. Like if I occasionally go to a concert, which I've gone to 0 of those this year, but I'm not going to be like yelling, singing along every song. And I try to rarely eat popcorn so it doesn't get stuck in the back of my throat. That's it. So really the answer to your question is, JB, not much.
No popcorn.
Rarely eat popcorn.
I'm learning the tricks of the trade.
Or just at sporting events?
Just rarely eat it and never at a sporting event. Because, again, it can get stuck in the back of your throat and you're hacking something up, and then then we got problems.
Gotcha. Well, Rake, you live a wonderful life, and I feel like whenever I do see you, it is usually one of the most enjoyable times of the year with high school athletics, and obviously you're going to be at LNLC. And let's start on the LN side. You know, I've heard they've had some great talent, obviously the last couple of years, and some Division I talent. So could you expand on that for those who might be curious about the talent in their own backyard around here?
Yeah, Monson Sales is one of the highest-rated recruits in his class in the state, if not kind of regionally. 6'5" wide receiver, track star speed. He would help lead Lawrence North to the track and field state championship in the spring. A lot of seniors off of this LN team, but really kind of 3 or 4 key pieces that are back with Sales and Zay Moore. And Zay has been the starting tailback since his freshman year. He is also a junior, same class as Sales. Had well over 1,000 yards each of the last 2 years. Not very big, but tremendous size. But Sales and more on the offensive side of the ball. On the defense, Mallory and McKellar that are kind of key returning pieces. So it's not a huge number of returnees for LN, but they've got a couple of stars on both sides of the football. And often early in the season, that's kind of enough to carry you through.
He's on the call, LNLC tonight. Again, it'll be him and Joe Wright, Lara Overton tomorrow, 1 o'clock down there in Cincinnati. Before we shift gears, Greg Rakestraw is with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. How about another high school storyline or two this season? Sounds like 6A, super wide open. I know some of the lower classes, you've had some class move up, move down. That will create maybe some matchups we're not totally used to come playoff time. But what else on your mind high school-wise here around the area?
So storylines in terms of teams moving, Decatur Central playing up in 6A, and I think they'll be competitive to that point. They are playing now Avon the opening week of the season to kind of give them, they're in a great 5A league that keeps getting better in the mid-state, but Avon gives them a test of what the postseason is going to look like for them in 6A. But Kyle Enright's team has multiple Division I kids as well, led by Casimir Hicks, led by quarterback Bo Holston, Campbell defensively. They're really talented and return a lot of kids from the team that made the last 2 5A state championship games. Your Cathedral Irish are down in 5A for the first time in a while, and seemingly all signs point to Cathedral and New Pal will play at some point in time in the sectional. Geographically, that's where they belong in terms of 5A teams. And so whoever wins that is the favorite to continue winning on and winning a 5A championship. And while Heritage Hills isn't exactly in the 93.5 and 107.5, listening area, they will have an impact on the 4A championship because whomever kind of survives the Indianapolis Gauntlet group of Roncalli, Chittard, Danville, Brebeuf, Mooresville, et cetera, comes out of that sectional, and Greenfield Central probably is now the favorite in the other Indy area 4A sectional without New Pal being in that group. Those teams have to run into Heritage Hills at some point in time, led by Jet Goldsberry. They've got a couple of major college recruits on that team. The other thing that I would say in terms of the classes below that is not exactly classification changes, but there is a whole lot of conference changes. We have two brand new conferences in terms of small school athletics, kind of northwest of the Indianapolis area, in the Indianapolis area. The Indiana Crossroads split apart into two different leagues, one public school, one private school. So actually what it means is, like for some smaller schools, there are some massive rivalry games tonight because for years these schools have been in the same league and now they're not, and so they're playing each other very early in the season. So the schedules will look different for a lot of the 2A and 3A teams in the Indy area because they're in brand new leagues this year.
So, Rake, we'll pivot a little bit now to the Colts because, honestly, I could talk to you about high school sports all day. You do know this because whenever I see you, I bring it up. But when it comes to heading to Cincinnati on Saturday, tomorrow, what things are you looking at? And perhaps I'll start here. What do you want to see from Riley Leonard, who is the QB3? I would expect him to stay that way throughout the season. But obviously, when you draft a quarterback, you do want to develop him. You want him to turn into something you can use in the future. So what do you want to see from him just starting off in really his first start, I believe, since the national championship?
I would say maybe it's a little higher completion percentage. It's not been terrible, but you want to see it be a little bit better. Clearly, he is a playmaker with his feet, which is the exact reason why, you drafted him and kind of, brought him into this offense because his skill set fits Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. So maybe completion percentage would be better, but just want to see him be a playmaker. Because, again, I don't think they're going to get to Leonard this year, but you never know. So just kind of that next generic step forward for Riley, for lack of a better term.
Rake, how about one roster bubble question on offense, one on defense? Again, it's one giant cut now in the NFL. We go from 90 to 53, so a lot of guys you'll see tomorrow, unfortunately, probably won't be out there come, next Wednesday, Thursday when they have their first big regular season practice. But anything roster-wise, each side of the ball, you're keeping an eye on?
Honestly, other than the obvious question, which has now been answered, there were not a lot of questions coming in. Now, injuries have changed this. So what exactly is the cornerback spot and or safety spot going to look like? There are now some jobs open that we didn't think there were going to be. And I thought there was going to be maybe of all the positions where you'd have a 53, and then there's always a 52nd or 53rd guy that thinks he made the team, and 24 hours later he's looking for a job or trying to get back on the practice squad. I thought of all the positions where they would bring somebody in, it would be offensive line. And I think because of injuries there, that's even more so the case now. So, again, I think these 53-man decisions have been heavily influenced by injuries. And so the spots that have been injured. Secondary has been ravaged, and the offensive line's been banged up too.
Indeed, it is the most wonderful time of the year. As Greg Rakestraw said, excellent weather week. Should be an awesome night here for high school football. He's got you covered, LN and LC, and then down I-74 for the Colts and Bengals tomorrow, preseason finale at 1 o'clock. Fridays at 8 o'clock. Those are great Rakestraw times pretty much all year long, especially here as the fall is approaching. Rake, thank you, sir. Safe travels down there tomorrow.
See you, fellas.
Greg Rakestraw right there. We do have Indy 11 4-pack. Speaking of Rake, Mark, you said we've got two of them?
Two 4-packs, yep. Uh-huh.
All right, how about this? The first two people that get this correct answer, Greg Rakestraw is calling LN and LC tonight. Mark Dykton, I need the nicknames of both of those teams. 317-239-1070. Think ferociousness for both.
That's a good hint.
La Hacienda up for grabs, maybe. Giacomo's up for grabs tonight. LNLC. That Bonchon Sales, by all accounts, again, junior wideout. he could go down as one of the highest-ranked football recruits we've ever seen in this state.
Yeah, he was nice last year.
Yeah, 6'5", can run like a deer. So certainly,
deer gallop, don't they?
They run faster than humans, and he runs faster than most
Mark
humans.
over here,
Right.
just a zoologist.
Well, I'm just saying.
Jeez.
Steve Irwin.
Do they move quick or not?
Crikey! That's a galloping deer over there.
The voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor, going to join us at 9. Rake mentioned right there at the end, James, that injury-wise, again, that complicates things, roster mechanics. And I've definitely said that earlier this week, and I said it late last week. I'm like, boy, where are the Colts at health-wise? I sit here on this Friday morning, my tune has changed. I think the Colts are in a much healthier situation than I thought they would be. And if you believe Shane Steichen, which, again, sometimes with injuries, it's not totally accurate, it sounds like they are getting healthier. Like Josh Downs, for example, I was worried about him. And yesterday, Shane said he should be ready for week 1. Like, who are your week 1 guys in question right now? I mean, maybe Jalen Carlisle's at linebacker?
Yeah, I know they feel optimistic about Josh Downs, but I'm still curious because he hasn't been out there just yet.
But I guess I'm struggling with the, absolutely they're going to injured reserve to return later in the season.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, Jalen Jones, like you said, he was doing some side field work yesterday.
And I would get the sense that he probably isn't headed towards IR based off the
should play in September.
Yes.
At some time. Juju Brent's returned to practice yesterday.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Jalen Carlisle is definitely, I think, a candidate for that just because we haven't seen him. Last time we saw him,
maybe Tyler Goodson at running back.
Yeah, and I did have a conversation with him yesterday as well. I do expect him to perhaps miss the start of the season, but he was saying that he's fortunate. He dislocated his left elbow, apparently, and he was just telling me, obviously, that did not feel great. Doesn't need surgery, but will need some time to recover.
One thing to note, too, and this is, again, we're getting into the weeds with the roster stuff here, but Tyler Goodson got hurt in that Green Bay game. He was the starting gunner for Rigoberto Sanchez in that punt unit. Ashton Doolin got hurt Tuesday at practice. I don't think I saw Doolin out there yesterday or Wednesday. That's your other starting gunner.
Right.
So, if you're Brian Mason special teams-wise, that could be something to keep an eye of. Who are you pulling away from a different position? It's not like you just go out and get another running back or get another wideout necessarily with those two hurt. So, again, that's kind of a little bit in the weeds from a roster mechanic standpoint, but that is something definitely to keep an eye on. Boy, I feel bad. Mark's got to work a little bit for this.
I think he's working all right, though. And, this is the guy who has unlimited vacation days, unlimited PTO. Don't feel too sorry for him.
No, you are right about that. Speaking of that, Jeff will be back early next week. Actually, I think Jeff's doing some work down in Charlotte. Again, Fever tonight in action. That's 7:30 with the Minnesota Lynx. Again, we played the Stephanie White audio with Jake Query earlier. It doesn't sound like anything too optimistic on the Caitlin Clark front anytime soon. Next week or so for the Fever. They've gotten their head above water. What's next? I mean, this is
a tough schedule is what's next, honestly.
Because they go out west, right? I think they maybe play Seattle at home. So they play Minnesota tonight, play Minnesota Sunday.
Yep.
Seattle at home Tuesday, and then I think it's a 4-game trip out west. So are you still in the mode?
They got Los Angeles, who's had their number this year.
Right.
They got Golden State, which is no slouch, even as an expansion team.
Golden State's beat them, yeah.
You got Phoenix Mercury, which obviously there's some juice there with the DeWanna Bonner departure. So, yeah, these next few games, I think, will ultimately decide if they're in or out of the playoffs.
Well, because right now I think they're 6th in the standings.
Yeah, but there's only like a game or two between 6 and 8 and then 6 and 9.
Right. And you can look at it glass half empty, glass half full. Glass half full says, wait a minute, they've won these games without Caitlin. If this keeps on going, could they get home court? If they get all the way up to 4.
Right.
Or, to your point,
could you fall out?
It goes the other way. Could you fall out?
And I say that because I just wonder how much attrition can you absorb and still be a good team.
Right.
I don't doubt that they're going to play hard, play together, but at some point, you're in the WNBA, talent will be a huge factor, and I think you've kind of seen that. And, hats off to Kelsey Mitchell for willing them to a victory in their last game. But she's going to have to be, Herculean, I think, down the stretch here. And their margin for error, Kevin, is just so small considering the amount of injuries they've had to key players in their rotation. I mean, this would be like asking the Pacers or the Colts to go out there, all right, you lost 3 starters for the rest of the season, go out there and be the same team and keep winning. It's hard, any sport.
Mark Dykton, our correct answer there?
The Bears and the Wildcats.
Pretty quick answers we get from people?
It's a Wildcat right there.
Wait, do that again?
Sounds like a guy in the woods just doing that. That doesn't sound.
That sounds like a possessed wildcat, man.
Like a water pistol or something.
My favorite. Jake Curry's favorite sound drop right here, the Bobcat.
Okay.
Now, we had an NCAA tournament team that was the Bobcats. Is that right? Is that why you found that originally?
Yeah, I don't remember what the
hell would that
context
have
was.
been?
I don't know. I had to. What is this? The 2024 NCAA tournament. So someone was the Bobcats, and they were in there. So there you go. You want to hear a bear? We got that too. That's from 2025. Trying to get to it. Salmon. Were you blank talking to me, by the way, while I was taking winners info? Like I saw James looking over here. I heard my name brought up.
I'm always
No,
talking
I
crazy.
actually thought James chirped to you more than I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he
Interesting.
was saying making Mark work, and I was like, he don't work no way. This man is always on PTO. He's always taking
Very
vacation.
interesting.
And to
That
your-
is a bold strategy, Cotton.
But
Let's see
that
if
is
it pays
that's
off.
a backhanded compliment. The man uses his PTO.
I do. Yeah.
Smart man.
If JMV wants
is
to give me some
America.
of his that he's never using, I'll gladly take it too.
Does he really not take days off? He
I mean,
probably
the
doesn't,
man,
honestly.
if he's not here, he's doing B105. If he's not doing that, he's doing Colts pregame.
Or he's
like,
playing basketball.
So true. Literally so true. Now, are we getting a live bison in Bloomington this year? Speaking of mascots.
we better. I'm going to be pissed if we don't, quite honestly.
I mean, who's going to be in charge of that?
Well, you got how many? You got what? 40,000 students down there. Somebody can handle the bison.
40,000 students, and the bison does not sound like a good plan at all. We need some people who are probably not
Drive them back, and,
inebriated.
put them in the backyard of your local frat on the extension and all day. I did see yesterday, Merchants Bank naming rights to the field down there, $50 million over 20
Yeah, I feel like
years.
the jokes write themselves to a degree, but I would do the same for a big check.
Wait, what are the? I'm not following.
Well, it would be like you have the merchant schedule with you playing these non-con teams that are not that good. So that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw it. Maybe I'm just too petty.
Okay.
But yeah, I did think about that. I was like, man.
If we're getting the frog mascot in one end zone and
schedule merchants is
Petrie's
basically
face
what
in the
I was
other one.
thinking. Yeah, schedule merchants.
Well, and again, I like what the SEC is doing. I like this. For those that missed the fine print yesterday, the SEC is going to 9 conference games, just like the Big Ten. This is the big kind of Kurt Cignetti public discourse here. And again, it's really kind of Scott Dolson. Cignetti's mentioned this. IU kind of committed to this sort of scheduling, 9 conference games, and then the 3 very non-Power 5 non-conference teams. That was a Scott Dolson, Tom Allen thing, and Kurt Cignetti just kind of signed off on it once he took over. But what the SEC is going to do differently is they are going to maintain a non-conference power opponent for all of their teams. So you cannot play Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and Old Dominion. You're going to have to play a ACC, Big 12, Big 10, or Notre Dame is also thrown into that mix there. Now, some of this I think is rooted in, think for example, James, Florida State as a rivalry. Obviously, that's SEC, ACC.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, same thing. Clemson, South Carolina, same thing. Kentucky, Louisville. So, you have some of that you want to protect. But we talked about this in the first hour. One thing that college football, among others, does exceptionally well, much better than college basketball, is they start their season off with an absolute bang. When the NFL has a very rare quiet time, the NFL gets real quiet outside of roster cuts for the next 10 to 14 days. And that's when college football hits us with Notre Dame, Miami next week, LSU, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas. I want to say we have Michigan at Oklahoma also early in the season. I mean, that is a great, think about that. Michigan at Oklahoma in a night game. So I love this. This is what I think now the Big Ten should follow suit. And yes, play the 9 conference games, but give your fan base one marquee non-conference game. Get everybody on the same level playing field, and that's going to encourage people to, head down 37 or, Purdue's done a better job of scheduling from a non-conference standpoint, at least a marquee opponent. But I like this. And I want to see the other conferences follow in line, which is probably wishful thinking to me.
Do you think they will have to be incentivized to do so, or is the incentive, our schedule will be tougher and perhaps that'll give us some grace when it comes to college football playoff time?
And I think the committee announced, I need to go back and look at this. I think the committee announced that strength of schedule is carrying a little bit more weight from a evaluation standpoint once we get to playoff time. So, as long as you say that, and uniform scheduling is difficult. Obviously.
Well, I told you one of the greatest things about college football, in my opinion, is the arguing over what is right, what is wrong, because there's never going to be a uniform system, and everyone's going to say my way is better than your way, and the pettiness just thrives.
Right. And again, I'm not asking you to go out there and do Ohio State, Texas. But, like, you're fighting a line, I believe Duke, I think, is one of the non-conference. I mean, okay, that's a nice game. Like, Duke's been a respectable program over the last, hell, probably dating back before Riley Leonard, more to even some of those Daniel Jones.
Yeah, well, Illinois runs a real program.
Boy, you have talked a lot about Illinois.
IU will, find out very soon. I say this, and I was saying this yesterday. And
I don't see IU falling off, man.
No, I really don't. And I was talking trash about this game. And in true James Boyd fashion, speaking of third person here, I couldn't tell you 5 players on Illinois' team. But since I am in debt to that university for quite a bit of money, I am rolling with them. Someone was like, you don't even know who this is. I'm like, I know who the coach is, and I kind of think this guy might still be around on the roster.
And certainly financially, I know full well.
Oh, man, yeah. It might be a while. Let me know when Nora or one of your daughters goes off to school. Maybe then I will have paid back my student loans, but until then, they're looking at me every month for that paycheck.
The James Boyd NIL fund is strong right now.
It ain't that strong.
Some a bit curious about a Colts player that will suit it up tomorrow. If this could mean he's in jeopardy of making the team, we'll get to that in a few. Mark Dykton, let's check it out.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
James quarterback plan down there tomorrow in Cincinnati is Riley Leonard first half, Jason Bean second. We played Shane Steichen's audio earlier about no Anthony Richardson. Just to be clear, though, for people that are like, oh, one quarterback gets a half, the other gets the other half, you don't view that as a battle, right? Riley Leonard is clearly quarterback 3.
Yes, I think that's very clear after what we've seen throughout training camp. I thought Jason Bean really struggled to throw the ball.
Barely got any reps.
Yeah, I was going to say Riley Leonard wasn't great throughout camp either, but I think that he's further along than Jason. And honestly, that kind of makes sense considering their college careers.
Greg Rakestraw, Joe Wright, Solaire Overton on the TV side. I believe at CBS 4 on the radio side, Matt Taylor and Charles Arbuckle. Again, preseason finale coming up tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Alex in the chat says, so James Boyd knows more PJ golfers than Illini football players.
Look, this is how my
that might be
talk
accurate.
Works.
Gosh, I think that's right.
If Illinois beats IU, I'll know all the players then. If they lose, I know nothing. I saw nothing.
That is a
it
definition
is
of petty.
Yes.
That is that's so pathetic. Man.
Hey, I'm only rolling with winners, baby. If they lose, I saw nothing. I didn't hear nothing. It is what it is.
IU takes a porta potty dump on your fighting line after that soft comment.
The schedule merchants, by the way.
Tonight inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse, they are a notable underdog, 6.5-point underdog, the Fever. We'll see if Nafisa Collier will play for the Lynx. She is arguably the best player in the WNBA, has missed about 3 weeks with an ankle injury. Minnesota did play and lost last night to Atlanta, kind of a rare Atlanta's had a great year. A rare loss for them. Collier was listed as questionable, though. So if you kind of play the injury game, potentially she could be in the lineup tonight. So we'll see about that again, 7:30 inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. It is week 1 of high school football. We've gone over several of the marquee matchups here from a local standpoint. Again, Ben Davis at Cathedral at the Butler Bowl. At Cathedral at the Butler Bowl. Center Grove and Warren, Decatur and Avon. You've got Addicts, Lutheran, Ritter at Tech, LCLN, Pike, Zionsville, Lebanon at Pendleton. Ducey Chatard's playing Lafayette Jeff. No word of Wiz Khalifa will be the halftime act for that one or not for the Trojans. James Boyd, your game of choice tonight. You said you're weighing a few options.
Yeah, I think it might be Center Grove. I feel like Center Grove and Warren is the one people are like, this is going to be a nice matchup. And it seems like Center Grove every year is just putting out great talent. I actually get a chance to go over to Center Grove every now and then. Their middle school where we play basketball.
That's where you hoop, right?
Yeah. And it's really cool walking in that they have, why am I blanking on the name? The guy who plays for Golden State right now.
Trace Jackson Davis,
and the running back that played for Kansas City.
Oh, Carson Steele.
Yeah, so they have both Carson Steele and Trace on the wall there for the middle school. And I'm like, wow, how cool is it to have 2 kids from the same middle school make it all the way to the pros and get reps and get, real time. Cool stuff.
Yeah, obviously 2 great stories right there. Quiet day on the diamond yesterday. The Cubs did lose to the Brewers. Did take 3 of 5, though, from arguably the best team in all of probably the best team in Major League Baseball. Reds got some fortune with the Mets losing, so just a half game back in the wild card. And how about the Indianapolis Indians putting up 16 runs on Syracuse? Mark, the Cubbies this weekend, they're out west too, right? With the Reds?
Angels. Yep.
Yeah, so the Reds transition to Arizona, Cubs at Angels there coming up this weekend. And speaking of this weekend, IndyCar in Milwaukee. It's a state fair up there, oval race to close out the season, Milwaukee and Nashville. These last two races, I believe 3 o'clock, the green flag, coming up on Sunday for IndyCar. All right, on the other side, who is the notable Colts player? It's going to suit it up tomorrow. What does that mean in terms of his safety, if you will, on the 53-man roster? We'll hit on that on the other side. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton on a Friday.
I got to see him come out of the shower.
The end usually gets harder.
I don't know. I like the dad bod, man.
That Chinese chick, she's got some lower body.
It's like dicks on steroids.
Mark Dykton, pull it out.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Excellent jam here for this football Friday. High school football, that is, tonight's week one.
This is a song you play in the movie when, like, your team starts hitting a win streak. And then when the music slows down like it is now, then that's when you've, hit another, like, bump in the road in the story arc.
It's the part in the montage where they really start clicking. And the coach is like, yes, right. more of that.
100%. I feel it like, oh my gosh, what? And Remember the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this is 1,000%.
My favorite sports movie.
Played in that. So Mark Dykton, excellent choice here on this Friday. Again, LNLC, our game of the week tomorrow. Not only do you get a little college football action, a top 25 matchup over in Dublin. Nothing says Dublin like Iowa State and Kansas State. You also have Colts and Bengals preseason finale coming up Saturday at 1 o'clock. We'll get to kind of a marquee name that will suit it up tomorrow in that game here in just a second. James, I saw you tweet out, and I believe the 1-year anniversary of the gold medal game was, I believe, a week ago. I saw you tweet this out last night. I could not agree more, man. I think one of I hope I will remember that Team USA gold medal run, the semifinal game against Serbia and the big comeback, and then what Steph Curry did in the gold medal game against France. I hope that won't get out of my sports memories anytime soon. That was awesome. I loved it.
That was probably my greatest viewing experience as a sports fan, period. And I know I'm biased because I like basketball probably more than any other sport, but I don't know about that. I do like football a lot. I mean, in these days, football's on the TV. I told you I'm the degenerate who watches the Thursday night game no matter who it is. But
basketball's easily my favorite.
But, man, I mean, I think part of it for me was just knowing that it was probably the last hurrah for LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. And to me, those are the three greatest players of my era, at least American players of my era. So I loved it. It was high intensity. It was stressful. It was crazy. It was great theater. And then watching that, documentary back on Netflix, I enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, the documentary's tremendous. But yeah, I honestly think back more to the Serbian game in the semifinals of
I thought they were going to lose.
How big that comeback was.
That was over.
And remember, Steve Kerr just went to the old dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was LeBron, it was Durant, and Embiid was weirdly very good in that game when he had struggled so much.
Keep in mind, that is the last time we saw this man play basketball. So, in my eyes, I know it sounds extremely crazy. If he really sacrificed his health and knee to go out there and get a gold medal for Team USA, more power to you, man, because, I mean, they were not going to win without him. What a time.
Gosh, that was such a fun run. All right, let's shift gears to tomorrow. Again, 1 o'clock. By the way, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton with you here on this Friday morning. Jeff will be back, I think, on Monday here coming up. I think the general thought, James, is if you play tomorrow in the Colts-Bengals game, there's a strong likelihood you're not going to make the roster. Now, that's not entirely true. I mean, I would guess I don't know, if I said there's 5 to 10 Colts that play tomorrow that also make the 53-man roster, do you think that's a fair number to throw out there? 5 to 10 guys that play tomorrow will be on the team next Tuesday. Like Riley Leonard is an obvious one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he's fighting for a roster spot. But I do think that, there certainly will be to a certain degree.
Now, again, some people wondered this, and I did not really think about this until yesterday. But several people reached out asking me this question. Again, the cornerback injury position has been one that we've monitored a lot here over the last really 3 or 4 weeks. And Jalen Jones and Juju Brent, 2 young corners that have had very different careers so far. Jalen's been a great find as a 7th-round pick, and Juju's career has been defined by injury, really. But both of them hurt their hamstrings early on in training camp, and we saw Juju specifically get back to practice. By the way, he had that beautiful pass deflection in the end zone right in front of us yesterday on Alec Pierce. That jump ball, I forget if it was, I think it was had to be Jones if it was first team. I think Jones just threw it up there, giving Pierce a chance, and Juju just perfect position and knocking that ball away. So Juju is back practicing, and after practice, I was curious, would Xavier Howard play at all tomorrow? Again, a dude that hasn't played in the NFL in over a year, do you want to see him play? And Shane Steichen said no. So again, he's a 32-year-old corner. But Shane did say Juju Brents will play in this game. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, that's not too surprising to me. This guy has, unfortunately, played very little in his NFL career. So I am very much in the boat, James, of like, he's playing because he just needs reps, period. But then some people reach out and were like, wait a minute, Juju's playing tomorrow? Could he be in question for a roster spot? So when I pose that question to you, do you look at Juju Brent's playing tomorrow as knocking off rust and getting reps, which he really needs? Or do you say, hey, Lou Anarumo's here. He didn't draft Juju Brents.
Yeah.
This is a guy that needs to earn his spot in the team tomorrow.
I probably would have been more in the latter camp of he's got to prove himself. Lou Anarumo had a guy like Sam Womack hadn't got injured recently. He's out with the hamstring. And so I think because of some of that roster shuffling there with the cornerback room and the fact that you still keep a lot of corners in general, I think that he has a spot on this roster. And I would lean more so toward it being knocking off some rust, feeling good, trying to get some game reps in for a guy who, by the way, we talk about Anthony Richardson missing so much time. He was drafted the same year as Anthony. He's played less games. And so I do think he needs those reps tomorrow.
Yeah, when these people reach out and ask me this, I'm like, boy, now you're making me pause a little bit here of like, should I be paying more attention to that? Again, I think it's just to knock off the rust. But, and again, Jalen Jones is still not all the way back. I know you chatted with him yesterday in the locker room, and it sounds like maybe September will be when he makes his return. But I don't know. It just, that has created a little bit of curiosity because, we do this every year around roster cuts. Who's the surprise cut? Seemingly for the 13th year in a row, people are asking me, hey, could Mo Alley Cox be a surprise cut? I'm like, no, I don't. I think Mo Alley Cox is definitely on the team. So, I don't know. Juju Brents, I think he's all right, but at least it's a storyline that will be there tomorrow for people that are watching the game. All right, on the other side, James and Shane Steichen had a bit of a back and forth yesterday regarding Anthony Richardson. We'll play that audio for you upcoming next. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts at 9 o'clock, a football Friday right here on the Fan Morning Show. Thank you for closing out the week with us.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor in 15. Certainly he's got fond memories of high school Friday nights. Week 1 is here. Thank you to Greg Rakestraw. Thank you to Dominic Miranda. Both joined us a little bit earlier in the show. We got an awesome slate here to start things off in the high school football season. Next Saturday, we'll be talking about Indiana and their opener. Kurt Cignetti's second year. Purdue hosting Ball State up there in West Lafayette. They named Ryan Brown their official starter, so the man that used to start for them, then transferred to Bill Belichick for a brief period, now back in West Lafayette. And the Fighting Irish, a week from Sunday, we get Labor Day weekend. You usually get a full slate of college football games across Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That will be your Sunday night matchups. Brandon's asking here about Jelani Woods, James.
Bubble guy for me.
Yeah, definitely. I say practice squad.
I would say so, too. I just can't see them keeping 5 tight ends. And I do think the 4 above him, Tyler Warren, Molly Cox, Drew Ogletree, and Will Mallory have been better than Jelani, and clearly better, in my opinion, throughout the preseason.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. He was asking about guys that could stash on PUP. Again, the only way you can stay on PUP is if you started camp on PUP, and nobody did. So they'd have to be IR to return later in the year. So we'll see. Does Tyler Goodson qualify for that? Samuel Womack, Ashton Doolin, Jalen Carlisle, we haven't seen in a while. Again, I don't think any super frontline guys. Like Josh Downs, sounds like he should be back. Braden Smith, sounds like he should be back. DeForest Buckner. Was there an internet rumor I missed with DeForest Buckner? He's got a back injury, and all of a sudden, that got tweeted out yesterday, and so many people were like, that clears up the rumor. What was the rumor that I missed?
I guess it was social media saying that because of the QB change, was he like holding out or holding in and wanted to change the scenery? No, this is typical DeForest Buckner, where personally, they could tell me that he's on the injury report with like the worst injury imaginable, and until he doesn't play on Sunday, I would still think he's playing because that's just what he's done throughout his career.
Yeah,
so
he's one of the rare Colts that has missed a full week of practice.
Yeah, and still played well, might I add. So I do think for DeForest Buckner, it's one of those things where he's getting older, and you trust that the guy is going to be ready. He has proven that, full week of practice and a week of practice, he can be a dominant player. So I would tell anybody out there who's a little bit worried about him, don't worry too much.
James, I'll let you set up this Shane Steichen audio clip, and I know your latest on The Athletic, I think, hits a little bit kind of down this path as well, but for those that missed it, we'll play it right here. This was Shane Steichen yesterday, and your conversation with him around, I guess, the plan for Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, the plan, and also, as Mark cues this up, my mind, I had a chance to ask Shane on Tuesday, what do you think you could have done better to help Anthony develop? You as the head coach, as someone who advocated for him to come to Indianapolis, and he defaulted to Anthony's injuries. And so I followed up again yesterday, and here is what he had to say.
Shane, when Anthony got benched again, you mentioned, and I asked you, what do you think you could have done throughout the development process to help him, I guess, not get to that point again? You mentioned the injuries that he's going through. Well, beyond injuries, what other things do you think you could have done to help the development plan get to where it needs to go?
Yeah, I think that's a process. It's a day in and day out process. Like I said, just in the meetings, the classroom, the fundamentals of everything, and continue to work in stride in those areas. And he has made improvements in those areas, and I think he's going to continue to improve in those areas.
Well, I guess what you specifically, what do you think you could have done differently?
Well, I think you look back in those situations, like I said, I mentioned the injuries, but again, meeting with them, met a lot with them during those injuries, just obviously from a mental standpoint, staying in it. And I think he did a good job with that, and he's continuing to improve with that. So those things in the classroom, continue to develop that. I think that's just an ongoing process, is what we're going through.
Oh, boy.
Does that make any sense?
Honestly, it sounds like my parents asked me, where were you? And me trying to think to myself, oh, boy, how am I going to get to the end here?
Yeah, that was just word salad. And so I have two thoughts on this.
Word salad with no dressing.
Yeah. That's
Plain ass salad.
No croutons.
No.
I think I wrote in my story.
Not even a carrot in there.
Parmesan.
Not even a carrot in there.
I said, word salad is never filling, but that's what we're getting offered constantly.
Boy, that's a great line.
And that's what I feel like. And two things. One, you are either just refusing to say or admit that perhaps I could have done something differently or admit that I'm wrong. And the reason I'm even saying that is because your GM has already said that. He said we shouldn't have played this guy. So he's kind of giving you an out already to kind of jump on the bandwagon and say, you know what, maybe we could have done things differently. You are not saying that. And then secondly, my other thought was, could he be really protecting Anthony Richardson? And if that's the case, if it was so bad behind the scenes that you feel like you can't reveal any details about what happened, why he wasn't developing at the rate you wanted to, then again, I still think you have to own at least some of the blame. I'm not saying that it's all on him because, like I said earlier in the show, the majority of Anthony Richardson's failures are on him. That's my own personal opinion. However, those around him, if you look at the timeline of events, you named him a starter after his first preseason game? So, and you are the coach. You have the final say. You've had the final say the last couple of years on the QB decision. So if you're making these decisions, what are you seeing to, one, put him in the driver's seat and then take him out of it? And why has it not, been a better development plan? So I just don't think that you can sit up there and tell us whatever that was and expect people to buy into it, especially because, as I laid it out to you all during one of the commercial breaks, and here's the crux of this. If you say the plan is for him to go to the bench and develop, that's fine. But we were just in this position, last year, and here's how it
10
went.
10 months ago, yeah.
So when they benched Anthony last year in week 9, he said, Shane Steichen, when I asked him, hey, do you think Anthony will start for the franchise again? He said, I can't predict the future. Then they go to Joe Flacco. Okay, he's your starter. Joe Flacco, quote, will be our guy going forward, meaning through the rest of the season. A few days later, after you bench him, after he loses you 2 games in a row, you drop from 500 to 2 games below 500, then you say, well, actually, Richardson is going to start for us, quote, he's going to be our franchise quarterback. All of that happened within 14 days. So when you say you have a plan or trust that Anthony's going to develop or you can trust you with the quarterback decisions, why would we believe that, in my opinion? Because, again, that to me is a indictment on whatever process you've had or lack thereof because people cannot believe it. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, and I would add one more to that. When we talk about, okay, how did Richardson lose grip on whatever, I guess, strength, if you will, that he had in the starting job? Certainly you think back to that Texans game last year. Yes, the game he tapped out, but also the game where, he threw a big first half interception and largely struggled in that game. I also think kind of a sneaky spot, James, because I thought walking into camp, Daniel Jones was the leader. I think Richardson missing 7 of those 9 spring practices, that might have honestly been the nail in the coffin. Because it was another moment where he is standing and watching, and the Colts sitting there saying to himself, what about his availability? And while that was happening, Daniel Jones, and you watch Daniel Jones in practice. Yes, there's probably one play every day. Yesterday he had one where he got picked off by certainly a guy you don't expect to be in coverage. But you watch Daniel Jones in a practice setting, James, you can fall for that in rhythm, nice ball placement, giving guys opportunities after the catch aspect to him. And that's what we saw largely in the spring. I mean, we weren't out there for all 7 of them. We were out there for 5 of the 7. But I think that was a big moment where, all right, 50-50 now is becoming 100-0 for 7 of these 9 practices. And while Anthony Richardson once again has to sit and watch, the other guy gets a chance to make a strong impression. Just like Justin Wally, for example, in the spring. I think at times we don't really think anything of spring settings. And while, yes, they're not everything, the end-all, be-all, you have an opportunity with a coaching staff to earn their trust. And I think that can be a huge, huge benefit. And I think you saw very 2 different ways play out here dating back to the month of May. All right, coming up tomorrow, it will be 10 o'clock. We will start right here on these airwaves with pregame coverage. 1 o'clock, the kick. Charles Arbuckle, the color man. And on the play-by-play, it will be voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. A Football Friday continues with the Pride of Ron Colley. Matt Taylor next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, final hour of the week. It is a football Friday here, week 1. Going to get started in the high school ranks later on tonight. Looks to be a great night for that. We got week 0 of college football, a marquee matchup, somewhat marquee, top 25 over in Dublin, Kansas State and Iowa State. And, of course, the preseason finale tomorrow down I-74. That will be the Colts and the Bengals, a man that is very fond of the city of Cincinnati, particularly their Major League Baseball team. He is voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor, with us here. Mayte, do you make a La Rosa's freshest big boy stop tomorrow? Skyline stop? You got anything on the agenda?
I'll give you an old story. So when we used to play 4 preseason games, this was always the 4th one. It was always a night game on a Thursday. So whenever we would play Cincinnati, we would drive over separately, independently of the team. And there was a La Rosa's Pizza about, I don't know, a mile and a half around the corner from Paycor Stadium, like right on the edge of town, kind of off I-74 as you're getting back on the highway going back to Indianapolis. But it closed at like 10:30. So usually this game would start at 7. So what you would do is you would hope for a fast game, no injuries, but, get the work done that you needed to, but hope for a fast game, and then put that order in before they would hit the closing bell. And then one year we got there like at 10:28, and it was, we were just smashing La Rosa's Pizza on the way home back on I-74. I think we got like 2 pizzas with 4 or 5 guys on the road, and we were just starving because, you don't eat dinner during a game, you're busy on the radio. So that's always a really good memory of getting a La Rosa's Pizza, stopping off, before the game. This is way back. It's probably 10 years ago before Yuengling became very prevalent in the state of Indiana. But you'd always hit up a grocery store on the way down and get a case of Yuengling for the weekend, with Labor Day weekend coming up. So, yeah, very, very fond memories. Love the stadium. It's a great booth. That's all I care about. So, always loved going down to the 513, seeing if the Reds are in town, maybe pairing that up with the game. But, it's always a good time to go down to I-74 and hit up Cincinnati.
Okay, this man's got it covered right here.
I was going to say, what a blueprint.
Man, Matt, I'm afraid with how the penalties have been called in the preseason, I don't think you're beginning a quick game tomorrow.
Well, it's at 1 o'clock, so we do have a little bit extra time.
I guess you're right. Yeah. I guess you're right. Okay, let's start here. I get, quarterback-wise, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, Riley Leonard will get the first half, Jason Bean the second half, so I actually probably don't want to go there. I mentioned earlier Ulysses Bentley the fourth, Coleman Owen on offense, a running back and a wideout. I think the Juju Brent storyline, him playing, is at least interesting early in the game. Any other kind of random names, maybe non-quarterback division, that you think fans should keep an eye on for a game that, largely is about guys that, are hoping to cling to a practice squad?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question because last night, I just started a bunch of guys that I think are going to play, and so it was good to kind of go back and refresh your notes and get refamiliarized with these guys because they have played, they have been part of training camp, but like you said, they're going to be front and center in this game tomorrow. So, I mean, you mentioned Ulysses Bentley the fourth out of Ole Miss. Other guys are going to run the ball. Nate Noel from Missouri, Naquan Wright from South Florida. These are guys the Colts have picked up out of necessity in training camp, sort of as camp has gone. In the not so distant past, I'd say that in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, they've joined the team. Coleman Owen, I think, is a great story. I think he's going to have a huge game tomorrow, at least statistically. This guy's going to catch. It would not surprise me at all tomorrow. At the end of the game, you look at the box score to see him have like 7 or 8 catches for 80, 90 yards, maybe a touchdown. Like, he's just a really good, savvy, high football IQ slot player. He's kind of like a Josh Downs type where, he's 5'10", close to 200 pounds. But, I mean, this guy catches everything that you throw to him. And I actually talked to him in the locker room this week, and I asked him kind of playfully and respectfully, I said, hey, man, like, you had over 1,200 yards last year. I know you're playing in the MAC, but the MAC is still a really good football league. I think he was like 6th in the country last year in receiving yards in all of the FBS. I was like, how did you go undrafted? And he's like, yeah, it was kind of disappointing, but I chose the Colts because it's a great situation. A lot of guys to learn from. It's a good opportunity. So, he's a really darn good football player, and I think he's probably destined for the practice squad based on what he's shown. Other receivers that you're going to see Blaine Taylor, you're going to see Landon Parker, you're going to see a Joe from South Florida. Laquan Treadwell is going to play tomorrow. Tyler Common, Emporia State guy, Division II, just absolute superstar. At the tight end position, you're going to see Maximilian Mang, who's got an international background from Germany. He played tight end at Syracuse. You're going to see, a guy like Sean McEwen from Michigan. On the defensive side of the ball, it's names like, Marcus Haynes from Old Dominion, Desmond Little, Darrell Nchami. You're going to see Devontae Davis. You're going to see Eric Johnson, who, by the way, leads the Colts in tackles so far in the preseason. At linebacker, Solomon DeShields, Jacob Phillips, Austin Ajike is going to continue to play. At the cornerback spot, we know about the depth that's being tested there. You're not going to see Xavier Howard, but you will continue to see, I think, tomorrow Duke Shelley, Jonathan Edwards, if he can get back after a concussion. B.J. Mays as a name I think you need to learn tomorrow. Number 36 from Texas A&M. Alex Johnson is going to continue to play. Trey Washington in the secondary. Daniel Scott, who had an interception taken away last Saturday against the Packers. So those are the big names that I think you're going to, become more familiarized if you're a hardcore Colts fan tomorrow. These are the guys scratching and clawing for roster spots, practice squad positions, and if they do make the team, these are guys that I think are going to make big plays for you throughout the course of a 17-game regular season schedule on special teams.
So we have Matt Taylor Mayte on the line just now, and obviously you know a lot about these Colts. And I do want to know, do you prep your calls at all? Because I'm just thinking of Ulysses, how you say his name? Ulysses Bentley the fourth?
Bentley. Yeah.
Yeah, Ulysses Bentley the fourth. Like, if he scores a touchdown, is it he's driving the Bentley? We're driving the Bentley? Like, I mean, what are we working here? I'm just thinking of all the puns that I could use for Bentley.
That seems too easy. Come on now.
Well, I think you got to be a little
Taylor's
simple.
A pro.
You got to be a little simple, though, no? I don't know. That's why I'm asking the pro.
No, I think I'd be lying if those things don't cross my mind, James. I mean, you put so much work into these things, and obviously, things pop into your head. Like, for example, I'm looking at, you guys are going to make fun of me. This is really bad, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Like Cincinnati, like you try to have fun and you try to be entertaining in the preseason because you guys know the preseason is not for everybody. But like Cincinnati has a linebacker tomorrow who's third string, who's probably going to start the game. Young man by the name of Joe Giles Harris. And in my mind, because I'm an old soul, I say, I wonder if Joe Giles Harris is going to be confused with Jay Giles Harris.
Sure. Yeah.
And you guys probably don't get that reference, but like that's the kind of crap that just like peeks into my brain as you try to carve out some sanity with a 90-man roster as you do this 3 times in the preseason.
No, I think it defines why you are a pro. Now, I will add this. Luke reached out, Matt, mid-interview, and it shared some info that I don't know if it's valid or not, but I'll share it. He goes, Fresh's Big Boy is great, but Skyline isn't even the best chili in Ohio. I would take Paco's, Rudy's, Ideal, and Nettie's. In fact, Skyline is probably the worst chili in the state. Also, Geno's or Stubborn Brothers for pizza. That is better than La Rosa's.
Well, those things might be true, and like I'm not a diehard Cincinnati, food connoisseur. Like these are things that are just prevalent, and so I've picked them up over the years. Now, I will say, like, I, generally speaking, only crave chili like maybe once a year, and it's like on Halloween, if Halloween is like a really rainy, cold, kind of crisp night and there's football on, like that's the only time of the year that I really like chili anyways. So if you tell me that Skyline is 4th on that list, then I'll believe you because I really don't really crave it ever anyways. But La Rosa's always has like a little bit of a special place in my heart because every year as a family, we would pack up, we would go to Kings Island. So Kings Island just has like the aroma of cotton candy and that La Rosa's pizza sauce where it's got a little bit of a sweet taste to it a little bit. So that's always going to like hit extra hard for me just going back to my childhood. As soon as I eat a La Rosa's pizza, I just immediately turn like 11 years old again. So
we should do a summer segment on theme park aromas. Holiday World only smells like SPF and like soft drinks. like carbonation and SPF. Mark Dykman, I feel like, would be great at this. Theme park aroma. Like, how do you describe the smell at the State Fair?
Oh,
Yeah.
Pretzels and hot dogs, deep fried foods, basically. Lemonade shake-ups.
Yeah, if you could define bad choices in a smell, that's what it would be.
Horse manure from all the animals that are roaming around.
He is voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. Matt, last one for me. We were debating this a little bit earlier, and honestly, I didn't even think about it when Shane Steichen mentioned it yesterday. It was brought to my attention from some listeners. When they heard Juju Brent was playing in the game, they were curious, does this mean anything for his roster spot? I don't look at it like that. I look at it more of here's a guy that unfortunately is, him and Anthony Richardson have virtually equal track records injury-wise. Maybe even, honestly, Brent's has missed more time. He just needs reps, period. So do you look at it as knocking off rust reps, or do you look at it as he might not hear his name called with the new defensive coordinator come Tuesday at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I mean, to be fair, that cornerback depth has been tested, but it's starting to come back a little bit, including Juju Brent.
Right. It's coming back to life, yeah.
Samuel Womack, I think, is going to be squarely in the mix, too. I mean, here's the thing. Like, you can probably only keep 6, but it's become a little bit more complicated since Justin Wally went down. But here comes Xavier Howard, and I don't think you can cut him based on his resume, even though he hasn't played in a regular season game in 18 to 20 months, since the end of 2023 in that season. I mean, Ward's making the team. Kenny Moore's making the team. Jalen Jones, once he gets back healthy, you think would make the team. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of the two of them, just because you guys are right. He just hasn't played. Anthony Richardson started 15 games. Juju's only started 11, right? And they're in the same draft class. So he's actually played fewer, snaps and had a fewer amount of opportunities to grow. And he's a high draft pick. So it's one of those things where I don't think the Colts are going to give up on him despite the unfortunate, just rash of injuries that he's had to endure. But at the same time, he's got to play. And since he's missed basically the last 2.5, 3 weeks of training camp, you got to see what he can do and see if there's any sort of lingering nature of that injury for him carrying that over into the regular season. So I do think it's a little bit of both, although if I had to pick, it's more like, let's just see, where he's at. Let's get him some reps. Let's get him some run, kind of shake off the rust from being sidelined for a couple of weeks. And let's feel good about what he can do for us heading into the regular season. But I will say the cornerback position is coming back to life, and it is going to be at least worth a discussion on who the Colts keep and who they try to stash away on that practice squad because, again, despite those injuries, the cornerback room is still pretty loaded, and they have a ton of experience coming into that team.
Brady says Indiana Beach smells like B.O. I've never been. Have you ever been to Indiana Beach, Matt?
No, I've never been to Indiana Beach. In fact, I've only been to the State Fair like one time because it's always kind of coincided with football season, right?
Sure.
Either as a professional, covering the Colts, or then just growing up playing football, high school and college. It was always in the month of August, and that took you out on the weekends to go. So the one time I did, hot take, like I appreciated it. I took my kids, but it's really hot. There's a lot of people. It's crowded. I don't love crowds. The food lines were long. They wanted to go see the pigs and the animals, and you walk into those buildings, and it's just like, boom, it hits you straight in the nose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
yeah.
Damn. So, it was okay. Hot take, just kind of meh. But, if my kids want to go back, I'll certainly take them.
I know. I felt bad for that mom pig. I think they called her Piglet. She had 13 kids in late July, and her maternity leave was having thousands of Indianans, Hoosierans look at her every single day.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't sound like resting maternity leave like anything.
Yeah, I mean, that pig is not sitting on the couch just watching Netflix and chilling, right?
No.
And changing diapers. Sorry. Yeah.
Not at
Nope,
all.
it's not happening.
He will be in Cincinnati tomorrow. It is the preseason finale.
Well, on to Cincinnati.
He will have you covered. He
I was too
rattled off
cheery.
the names for us. He'll be ready to go all 4 quarters. It will be Matt Taylor, Charles Arbuckle on the call coming up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Football Fridays are here, Matt Taylor. Thank you, sir.
Yep, my pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow. We'll talk to you next week.
It's a great voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor.
What a
Nick
great human. What a great human.
Great human.
I know it's kind of random, but yes, I love me some Mayte.
No, I love me some. Honestly, all three of our guests are three great people. Dominic Miranda, Greg Straw, Matt Taylor today. Nick says, hot take, tomorrow Jason Bean beats out Riley Leonard for third quarterback.
That would take
that is a
miracle.
Hot take, right?
Yes, because he would have to basically say this one game he's going to, in one half, outdo everything else that happened in the preseason. Because as we saw, Kevin, it was kind of rough for Jason Bean throughout some of those practices. But, hey, as the guy who's going to the game, I wouldn't mind seeing some fireworks from Mr. Bean and getting out there and throwing some tutties.
Did our guy Tony Adranya, did he take the basketball job at Greenwood Christian? I think he did.
Did he?
I believe he did.
Oh, man.
I love that. Greenwood Christian in Sheridan. Again, Bud Wright. That is tonight, Beech Grove Middle School here. Thank you, Chris, for pointing this out. Bud Wright, first time since 1965. He's not the coach of Sheridan High. Did Jeff get mad at me when I brought up what year he was born earlier this week?
Definitely got itchy and scratchy about it.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of math in my head because he
it was more
just
for just context.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to take a shot at him.
Yeah. Well,
can you imagine coaching the head coach of a high school football program from 1965 to 2024?
Well, I can't imagine someone asking me my age live on air. So, as a man.
Stop.
Yeah, it was quite rude, actually. Now that I think about it.
You guys are pathetic.
I am very, peculiar about those types of things.
Yeah, you guys are
You want Social Security too, Kevin? Is that what you want?
Absolutely pathetic.
But no, I cannot imagine doing anything for that long. Honestly, I want to say it might have been at my church or something when I went the last time I was back home with my family, and they had this marriage type of commemoration or whatever, and it's stand up if you've been married for this many years. Someone stood up and they got married, and they were it was 60 years, and I was like, oh Lord, maybe I'm not listening to what you're telling me because I don't think I could be with somebody for 60 years ever. But that was something.
Well, there might be some women out there saying the feeling's mutual, James.
Hey, and I don't blame them. Look, hey, we are definitely on the same page.
Why isn't Anthony Richardson suiting it up tomorrow in the Colts preseason finale? If you missed the Shane Steichen audio, we'll toss that your way. Upcoming, let's hit a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Again, it will be Riley Leonard first half, Jason Bean second half tomorrow, 1 o'clock. And just to get you set, James, from there, 1 o'clock preseason finale, Colts and Bengals. And then Tuesday by 4 o'clock, that roster's got to be cut from 90 to 53. And that's really it, right? I mean, NFL-wise for the Colts over the next handful of days. I mean, usually this is a time period where however you handle the preseason finale and then shifting gears into roster cuts coming up on Tuesday. So, I don't know. It's kind of one of these, a little bit of a quieter time for the NFL here in late August.
Yeah, certainly. I mean,
I guess Chris Ballard Wednesday, right?
Yeah, and that will certainly be an interesting setup because all of us will have plenty of questions for him.
All right, tonight inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, it will be the Indiana Fever taking on the Minnesota Lynx, one of the best teams in the league.
Got any Lynx sounds over there, Mark? Rawr.
Let me look.
The dinosaur?
No doubt. I'm shocked he doesn't have one ready, honestly. We'll see about Nafisa Collier, the likely MVP. She has been out for about 3 weeks now. She was listed as questionable last night, but did not play. The Lynx lost in Atlanta. It will be a back-to-back for them. They're favored by 6.5 in this matchup. 7:30 the tip time for the Fever as they have had a handful of days off. We still have yet to see Caitlin Clark return to practice. And yesterday, Stephanie White was on with Jake and was asked by Jake if Caitlin Clark will be back here coming up this season.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's it's tough to speculate right now because she's doing everything that she can to position herself to play. So I don't know about that. The goal is to get her back, and the goal is for her to be on the floor.
James, that doesn't sound very promising to me. September 9th, the regular season finale. So that's 2 weeks from Tuesday. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know Stephanie White's history and talking about injuries, but this now has lasted over a month, and her return does not seem to be happening very imminently at all.
No, and again, you have to weigh the immediate risk versus the long-term reward, which obviously you want Caitlin to be healthy long-term, but just not promising the last couple of days. Some of the news that's come out. I know Scott Agnes had the left ankle contusion or bone bruise that she suffered a couple weeks ago throughout her rehab, so it does not seem to be trending in the right direction.
Not at all. Again, 7:30 tonight. It'll be the Fever Lynx again on Sunday.
Oh, I don't know if that's a Lynx, but I'll take it. Okay. Well,
Wait, do that again?
I was gonna say, you know what? I'm saying
ferocious right there.
I'm saying I don't know
It
what
sounds like sleeping in a hotel with my dad back in the day.
I was gonna say. I'm saying this like I know what a lynx sound like. I do not, but in my mind, I'm like, that's not what it sounds like.
Unless YouTube is lying to me, that is
Like
what
Mark's
a lynx
just
is.
making up these sounds. Major League Baseball, Cubs and Reds both out west. Cardinals got it done yesterday. Quiet day. Major League Baseball, Cubs did take 3 of 5 from the Brew Crew here. Reds got a little bit of help in the wild card, so we are now getting closer to certainly the stretch run. In Major League Baseball, week 0 for college football, Iowa State, Kansas State. That's a top 25 matchup noon tomorrow from Dublin, IndyCar up in Milwaukee. That is an oval race up there. Nashville for the season finale coming up next week. So IndyCar will wrap up their season here the next 2 weekends. And the high school slate tonight. It is littered with some great Week 1 matchups. James Boyd, have you settled on anything yet? Or are you still trying to sift through some of these games?
Yeah, I think it's Center Grove and Warren is the one I'm probably going to try to get
and that's
to.
At Warren, correct?
I believe so, yes.
So the
never
east
been to
side
Warren, actually.
There for James Boyd.
Yeah, never been to Warren, so
great field.
Far east, as they say, as my guy Juju Brent would say.
Ben Davis Cathedral at the Butler Bowl, Decatur and Avon, Chatard, Lafayette Jeff, Addix, Lutheran, Ritter Tech, LCLN, Lebanon, Pendleton, Pike, Zionsville, and quite the one up in Hamilton County with Kevin Wright back in action. Carmel at Fishers there. So some of the week 1 slate of games for you here, as it should be an awesome night for high school football. And Mark, you said it was a Brownsburg. They've got a national power tonight, right?
Yeah.
They've got like a team
It's a
from
big one.
Maryland, is that right?
Team from Maryland, I guess Brownsburg's like 46th in the country ranked, and that team is 33rd. So that's a heavy-hitting game right there, right out of the gate.
Rick Carlisle one time said he'd love to see the people who voted on that, right? Didn't he say that about the overrated poll with Tyrese Halliburton?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to meet the people who vote for national high school football rankings.
Yeah.
What kind of sick individual are you?
I don't know how you really do it well, especially
I want to see the faces of those guys.
Especially once you get past.
Can you imagine if I would have
Rich.
brought that level of energy in describing the high school football rankings? I want to see the faces of those guys.
But
how is Brownsburg 46?
I was going to say
they're 26.
But you know good and well, there are some coaches that will use those rankings as motivation.
gosh,
They will have that same exact
1000%.
speech of like, them guys don't know us. They don't know what we put in this summer when we had to run those hills by ourselves. When we're throwing those sandbags. They ain't built for this. And then you go out there and lose by 20. So
1000%. And then the game comes down to which kid was staying up later playing video games the night before.
And
No disrespect to rats.
Seriously. So I am curious to know, how did that even come about? Because, I mean, is IMG Academy included in those high school rankings? I would have to think they are. They're not like a real high school, though, so I don't know.
Is it Mater Day and all those Texas high schools? And
Shout out to Brownsburg for getting the national recognition, though.
Shout
It
out.
was
Put us on the map.
time to, get the out of there.
That's what's going to
That'll
happen.
be James when it gets to be like 9:30 tonight.
Yeah, you know me. Like I said, I don't have to write anything after the games. I'll be leaving with the people.
Kyle Nedrup deuces. James Boyd's exiting stage right here. All right, why isn't Anthony Richardson giving it a go tomorrow against the Cincinnati Bengals? We'll play that audio for you. Upcoming next, Fan Morning Show, rounding out the week right here. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark, famous last words when inserting a bet into the old betting app. Like, how many times have you said to yourself, looking at a bet, there's no chance this loses?
Oh. Every Sunday on football season.
Like, my brother-in-law sent me, I think it was earlier this week, a parlay, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, all to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Like, wouldn't you say out loud,
Yeah.
there's no way this loses?
Mm-hmm.
Are we all idiots right now? I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. They have the 4th best Super Bowl odds. Patrick Mahomes has the 4th best MVP odds. Should we just be laying our mortgages on that?
I would probably lay the MVP one because I feel like he's kind of due for like another breakout. Not breakout because he's already established, but you know what I mean? Like a dominant regular season. He hasn't really had that. They've added some pieces, you know, I think giving him some better offensive lines.
Like,
so
it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the 4th best odds. Because, like, a lot of these, like, big-time gamblers are always like, you know, sometimes you just do things because the numbers are just, they're way too good to pass up. Even if whatever, you think Kansas City's pass-catching group, Kelsey's a year older, et cetera, et cetera. But if the odds are speaking to you like that...
All right, who's better
like the
than
Green
that?
Goblin mask? Is that what Mark? Is that what you're going through, Mark? Whenever you place a bet, you're like, man, that mask is.
I swear I had a bet last year where it was like every leg hit, and the only other one I needed was Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown score. I'm like, they're gonna do the tush push at some point.
Yeah.
He never got the. They stopped him on the tush push one time,
sick.
and then they went to
never pushed his
Saquon.
tush, is what
And I
you're
think
saying?
Saquon got like 3 touchdowns that game, and Jalen never got in the end zone. I'm like, you have got to be bleeping me. Who's better than the Chiefs right now? I'm gonna say the Eagles are probably.
Well, I
one
think
of
the
them.
odds would have it Eagles, Bills, Ravens. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
I didn't know if like the Lions would sneak in there or something, even though they lost a bunch of people. But
I mean, George Karlaftis has played in the NFL for 3 years, and all he knows is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It just seems like, should we just stop overthinking it and put some money on that end?
But when does football become at some point like, okay, this sport is brutal? And you know how it goes.
Catches up to
Eventually,
him. Yeah, I know.
you're gonna lose a key player or something. They've been very fortunate from a health standpoint too.
Yeah.
Well, it always has been too. Like they would get on LeBron because LeBron played like so many extra seasons worth of basketball because he was in the
does
playoffs
that
so
add up
much.
to you?
And so you wonder if that plays a role with the Chiefs. And it's like so far it hasn't really. Like they seem to be just kind of going. But it's like at some point that clock's going to start ticking.
Could be Travis Kelce's last hurrah.
Speaking of health, is that the reason why Anthony Richardson is not playing tomorrow afternoon? That question was posed to Shane Steichen. Again, Riley Leonard for a half, Jason Bean for a half. The question to Shane, why isn't Anthony Richardson playing in the preseason finale?
Well, I think, he's one play away, from going into an actual game and don't want to take the risk there. In that situation, we got a lot of our 3s and 4s playing in this game. It's their last opportunity to go prove it, to make a 53-man roster, and that's where it's at.
James, we played that earlier in the 7 o'clock hour, and you seem to be a little bit more understanding of the Colts' thought process in that than I. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it's a fair assessment. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but I kind of get it because you're going to be playing with some guys who perhaps will not be on the field if and when Anthony's on the field, but to your point, Kevin, the more I listen to you talk about it and others kind of complain about it, it's like, yeah, man, like if the guy needs reps, I mean, what's the harm in putting him out there for, let's say, 3 drives, a quarter, whatever, especially knowing that he won't see the field again if you have it your way for the rest of the season. So I don't get that.
So I think some people were a little confused by one play away. One play away, he's meaning Daniel Jones gets hurt.
Yes, that is what they mean. No, this isn't like one play away from like, oh, they're going to put him in for this certain package or he's going to. No, they mean he's one play away from.
Every backup quarterback is one play away in the entire NFL.
Which, honestly, sometimes it could be as quick or as close as, me to you right now, Kevin, or it could be as far away. Where
Aaron Rodgers in the opener.
Yeah, I'm like, could you imagine being the Bills' backup quarterback?
Right.
Which, isn't a bad gig right now, but Josh Allen never misses games, so you just never know.
Yeah, my thing is we just got to stop playing the kid glove injury game with him. Like, he needs to get better, period.
Oh, yeah.
He does not need to be in a hazmat suit.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if he can't stay healthy, Kevin, which I think you've hammered a lot, he's just not the guy.
Right. So
period.
My thing is,
that's fine.
It is beneficial for, sure, is there an injury? Yes, there's injury risk for everybody playing. maybe more so for him than others, but we have to stop playing that game with him. It's year 3. He needs to try and get better at playing quarterback. And the things that they point to and why he's not the starter here in 2025, these are things you can see in a preseason game. Identifying stuff at the line of scrimmage, making the proper checks, having proper timing when you're bringing guys in motion. Those sorts of things. I don't care if you're playing 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. You're playing your 3s out there tomorrow, right?
Right.
He pretty much played with 3s in the first 2 preseason games. He played with 2s and 3s, if you really want to get technical, in Baltimore and in Green Bay. So Cincinnati's going to be playing the same sorts of guys. So
I'm laughing because
I don't get it.
We have Matt from our text line. He says AR is one play away from replacing a guy that was cut last year. It's like, well, in the most blunt terms, yes, but again, it will require an injury.
Man, I'll tell you what. Daniel Jones got benched so bad last year that he turned good again.
At least narrative-wise, yeah.
That's why.
But
how do I do that in my life? Do I go away from this job do I go away from my family for 6
taking
months?
a sabbatical or something?
I was gonna say you better not leave me.
Do I? I'm trying to. If Maddie heard this and it was taken out of context, she probably wouldn't love me, saying that I'm going away for 6 months. So maybe I should be careful what I say here. But what other jobs can you just disappear like that and then you return and people are like, oh my gosh, you're the 6th overall pick. Here's $14 million.
There's still some stuff left. Yeah.
Here's the starting job.
Yeah, and honestly, looking back at it, Kevin, the money told us right then and there what they thought.
Yeah, and you know what?
$14 million is a lot of money to pay
I downplayed
a guy
that a
you
little
think
bit.
is. I did too, but
yeah,
$14 million is
wrong.
a lot to pay a guy you is gonna say is a backup.
Now the Vikings offered him more money, right?
Apparently they did. That is the report. Yes, I want to say.
So the
reported by
Vikings
the Athletic or the ESPN
offered him more money to be J.J. McCarthy's backup. And very wisely, Daniel Jones and his team said the better chance to start is here.
Yeah. I mean, he looked at Anthony Richardson and said, this guy is going to be injured or inaccurate or immature or whatever the case may be, and I can go take his job. And he did.
Or he said, even if they start him, he's not playing all 17 games and I'm getting in there.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Stupid hypothetical. What if Daniel Jones took the money with Minnesota? Is your starting quarterback just Anthony Richardson, or would they have found some other veteran that you think offered enough competition to be the starter?
Bring me Jameis Winston. I want a Jameis interview.
Boy, that was a great throw last night.
I was on Jameis Winston. I wanted him to come here.
Yeah, you were you? Was that part of the draft? Didn't we do a draft?
Yeah, we did. And honestly, to Mark's point, I think in a way, even if they had pursued Jameis, they probably still would have started AR because in my mind, Jameis is probably the ideal backup where he knows his role. He's going to be the mentor, the big brother. He's going to embrace it. He's going to enjoy it. The last couple of guys you brought in have not really been that. Obviously, Joe Flacco had no interest in being a mentor, and he's very upfront about that, not only in Indianapolis, but when he was in Baltimore, and Lamar Jackson was kind of up and coming. And then, obviously, again, with Daniel Jones, he didn't come here to be a mentor, per se. He came here to take the job. So, would that have affected anything if you had gone after a guy like Jameis Winston, who's more willing to be a backup? I don't know. We're living in the real world, Kevin. The hypotheticals are enticing for sure, but at the same time, I do think, for better or worse, this season is definitely going to be interesting at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I think, we get this text right here. I think part of the conversation, next week and as we get closer to the regular season, we're still 2 weeks from Sunday away, is like, okay, what are they seeing in Daniel Jones, and can he have success with this group? Because I think Shane Steichen deeply believes that, as wild as that sounds. This text right here, they don't want Anthony Richardson to make their decision look worse. Like if Richardson were to play well, that's one of the softest approaches I could ever imagine.
I had somebody in the YouTube chat say Jameis is infuriating, throws 5 touchdowns followed by 5 interceptions. Talent galore, but streaky. You know what? I will not take this Jameis Winston slander. Okay.
So what's their depth
30
chart?
Touchdown passes and 30 picks in a season is greatness. All right.
So their depth chart is Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, in that order?
I believe so. I can't
Dart
imagine
is third string. By all accounts, sounded like Dart had a great preseason.
Yeah, he had some.
You're forgetting Tommy Pasta over there, Tommy DeVito.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Stop it.
I forgot.
No,
you love pasta.
According to ESPN, the depth chart on the Giants is currently Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jameis, and then Tommy DeVito.
Oh, okay.
Wow, Jameis is third string? Huh.
He might, though, because Jackson Dart was drafted kind of high.
Yeah, definitely. And again, by all accounts, has had a pretty good start to his NFL career. I'm sure the New York radio is very handling that very well. All right, we'll do one final time here. Closing out the week, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, again, Colts preseason finale coming up tomorrow. That is 1 o'clock in Cincy. Roster cuts due 4 o'clock Tuesday. So, again, it's one big, giant roster cut, 90 to 53. Chris Ballard will have his annual roster cut press conference, if you will, the following day, a little after noon. And that usually is the last time we hear from Ballard in season. Shane Steichen then kind of fully shifts to the main voice of the franchise. I know John's been hanging in there quite a while. I believe you wanted to ask something about Josh Downs and Tyler Warren. John, apologies we didn't get to you sooner, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Now that Jones is the starting quarterback, and assuming Tyler Warren and Josh Downs remain healthy, I wanted to see what you thought was the over-under on their respective catch numbers. So if there's 17 games, 5 catches per game, that's 85. Do you think that Tyler Warren will catch more or less than 85 this year, and Josh Downs catch more or less than 85 this year?
John, thank you for the call. Mark, I thought we looked up Warren's over-under a few weeks ago, and I thought it was like in the 50s for catches.
Yeah, it was around there.
Hammer the Vegas official number.
See if I can pull it up.
John's number is a little bit probably too high for me. Obviously, you do factor in injuries. I mean, I'm very bullish on Tyler Warren in terms of a fantasy perspective if John's asking it from that standpoint. James, I think he's going to catch a lot of balls, and I think he's going to be a frequent red zoner.
Yes, but I don't see
Hell, I think
85.
he's going to throw a pass at some point.
Yeah, I don't see 85 catches, though, in his future.
That's number one wide receiver numbers.
Yeah,
right
just
there.
because you got to spread the ball around, and ideally, if you are running a competent offense with Daniel Jones, and that's what they believe they can do, he will spread it around. So I would probably put it somewhere in the, ideally, if he's got a really solid rookie year, 55 catches would probably be a solid number for him. And then for Josh Downs, I still think he'll probably float in like that 60 range just because, again, you have someone else kind of taking up some space over the middle in Tyler Warren, and that could take some catches away from you. But I will say for anybody who's playing fantasy football, as we talked about on yesterday's show, with Daniel Jones inserted, you probably do want to, if you're going to be trying to get Colts players as pass catchers, the guys who I believe will be more involved over the middle of the field, kind of a dink and dunk type. In my opinion, I'll put that on Tyler Warren, Josh Downs, and Michael Pittman Jr. as guys who are more possession catchers and volume catchers versus Alec Pierce, who's more of like a, boom or bust type of player because of the deep ball.
Tyler Warren, I'm looking for the receptions, but his total receiving yards over under is 575.5.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought both were kind of
I might take the under on that one, but if he is over there, that'd be great.
Yeah, Downs, one thing about Jones with the Giants is he was a frequent targeter of the slot guys. So, yeah, I mean, Downs and Warren, I think, are big beneficiaries from it. And as we've talked about, I'm very curious to see Alec Pierce's involvement. I don't think it's that Daniel Jones has a shoddy arm by any means. I think it's just a lack of wanting to throw it deep. So how will that impact Alec Pierce there? Chapman's asking if he thinks boos will happen if offense stalls out in the first quarter. Sorry, James, that was you responding to him.
Yeah.
Boo Birds week 1 over the AR situation?
I think it only comes out, again, if you're just stinking it up offensively to start the game. But if they come out and go down the field, get a field goal, come down, get a touchdown, and you're scoring points, I'm not saying you're going to be lighting it up, but if you
Jonathan Taylor breaks one off or something.
Yeah, if you just score as an offense, I don't think you can really complain, especially if you go out there and win in week 1 because they haven't done that since 2013 when I was a junior in high school.
I also don't think it's like necessarily like there's that big of Anthony Richardson like fans. It's more of a frustration of the organization. Like you picked this guy 4th overall, and now you're pulling the ripcord on him in year 3, and it's like, what are we doing here?
You're booing the organization.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree on that front. I forgot to tell you guys, spilled a full cup of coffee on the passenger seat this morning.
Well, Jeff said he spilled coffee all over himself earlier this week, so you and Jeff are kind of in lockstep right now.
When did that happen? He have an extra pair of pants on him, but what are the cleanup options? You just got to hit the crew car wash after this, or
it's inside, like it's on the passenger seat.
Yeah.
So Maddie's seat's all sticky.
Yeah, all over.
The brand new car.
Well, bust those suds,
she
brother.
Drives that. So basically,
elbow grease and never hurt nobody.
Honestly, it just sums up why I need to stop being a Notre Dame fan.
Whoa, this took a turn.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up out of bed this morning, and I had this great feeling about Notre Dame. I'm like, I'm so glad. I cannot wait for football. I cannot wait for basketball. I love Notre Dame so much. And I put I'm wearing my throwback Notre Dame baseball shirt today. You guys can see.
Fire, I must say.
YouTube chat can see. And then I go downstairs, and the coffee mug I pull out, my Notre Dame one.
Okay.
Now, that one doesn't fit very well in the cup holder. So I put that one on the center console as I was sliding in. And you guys know that I drink water out of kind of this big old thermal. And so I've got water in one hand. I slammed the door shut, probably slammed it too hard. Boom, coffee everywhere. So then I take the water. My instincts were dump all the water onto the coffee, and then I toweled it up. Now, I was already kind of cutting it close work-wise, so I had to drive and clean up at the same time. General thoughts on my process there. I thought I did a halfway decent job.
So the water definitely will help.
Care of
Are these leather seats? Is this upholstery?
No, yes, upholstery, not leather.
Well, I would suggest going to like a hardware store, just anywhere. Get some Armor All or something like that.
Okay.
Probably spray it down. Because I've spilled coffee in my car before, and you were going to open your door, and you're like, this is just reeking of coffee.
Yeah, I'm curious what's going to happen when I head to the car.
Yeah, I would get some Armor All, get some wipes, wipe it down, do a thorough cleaning job.
Yeah.
Maybe a scrub brush.
We've come a long way since last Saturday in the porta potty.
Yeah.
You have.
To this Friday in the coffee. I'm so damn
You'll
clumsy.
clean your car better than you did your hands.
Just pathetic. Well, no, that's not
I was going to say you're reaching for your glasses again.
at all. You guys got any weekend plans, James? You are down I-74, are you not?
Yes, I'll be going to the game tomorrow in Cincinnati. Excited about that, and it will be at least some football, so I'm always happy when I get to do that.
Mark, you taking in the nationally high school game tonight between the Bulldogs
maybe
of Brownsburg?
we haven't nailed down plans. I think the plan originally was the first game we're going to go to this year was going to be Brownsburg Cathedral next week, your alma mater. So
Let's go.
Might do that. So we'll have to see. I don't know. The plans are fluid in the Dykton household, so we'll see what's happening this weekend.
Should be great
Gotta
weather.
mow the lawn. I got crabgrass. It's driving me crazy.
I know. I feel like I've had a bad lawn year.
This crabgrass literally came out of nowhere in the last.
I'd love to blame the weather,
week.
but I don't know. It's probably a little bit
See,
more
this is where I like bow out. I just have to call my landlord and tell him fix my garbage disposal. That's
I long for the days of those sometimes.
7:30 the tip time tonight. Fever and Lynx over at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. You can hear that right here on these airwaves. 10 a.m. the start time tomorrow for our radio coverage. 1 o'clock kickoff again. Matt Taylor, Charles Arbuckle's got you covered. Colts and Bengals. Thank you to Mark Dykton, James Boyd. Thank you as well. I'm Kevin Bowen. We are signing off. Jeff should be back early next week. Everybody enjoy the beautiful weather. High school football is upon us. It is a football.